singing the intro.
Oh my God.
Welcome. No, I'm not going to sing anymore. Welcome to the Exploded Head Horror Movie Podcast, episode number 80. We're back. Brandon's back. This is official.
It's official. I'm back, everybody.
Episode 80. Wow.
It's good to be back.
Welcome
It
back.
really is.
Great to have you,
The
buddy.
show
It's
sucked
great.
without you.
No, I know. I heard. Nah, first of all, I just want to say thank you to you guys for. I mean, first of all, like I was like pleading with you guys, go on, continue recording because I didn't know how long I was going to be out, and you know, this last month it's been just a freaking nightmare. But things are looking good now, and I just want to thank you guys for not only continuing to record, but to like save these Patreon episodes for when I came back, because I was looking forward to doing these, and you know, you guys were like, no, we're not going to do regular shows without you. We'll do just bonus episodes and stuff, and I needed those, you know, kind of just keep my mind off of things, and now that I'm back, I'm ready and focused. So thank you to YouTube and YouTube and everybody who filled in. Watson, Moods, Jerry, Venom, that other guy, the other guy.
Yeah.
I knew it was Neil. I just wanted to refer to him as the other guy. Nah, they were all great. It was great to hear all of them on the show, and it's good to be back, man.
What a bullshit artist. It's good to have you back, man.
I'm the bullshit artist. Dave's the one who's telling everyone they're my favorite podcast.
Yeah, I know.
That's the next episode.
Every
right?
episode, there's new favorites. I'm like, I don't think I've ever heard Brandon mention any of these guys before in my life.
I didn't even know who some of them were.
Yeah, they're all humbled, and I'm like, what the fuck? Really? What? Did I miss an episode?
Dave Z, I know how to smooth talk, homie. You know,
I'm like, Carly was going to be on. When the hell did Brandon ever mention Carly?
Carly is my favorite podcaster.
Me too. I'm with
When JP lets her talk, she's my favorite podcaster.
Wow. Here it
Nice.
is. The
Yeah.
group is back. The
Yeah.
Beatles is back. Fuck Ringo.
No, it was nice having like, you know, the support of like all the hosts from Horrorphilia. Like everyone comes together. It's a nice little family we got.
No, all
It
joking
is.
aside, they were fun shows.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, I love having you. This is the team. This is what it's all about. And it was great. We had some great conversations, a lot of fun, a lot of firsts. Moods was on our show for the first time ever. So it's going to happen again. You know it's going to happen again. Unless we continue to war with them. Jeremy keeps pushing this war on Patreon, which we gave up on. I mean, we did it. We nailed it. We pulled back. We're done.
right.
And he's still going.
On behalf of my people, the Jews, I want to apologize for Jeremy because he's just a walking stereotype. It's so bad. It's terrible. I'm like, I know he's joking around and I'm fucking with him right now, but damn, like, who cares?
You don't listen.
Yeah, he's not listening anyway.
I've already started preparing the new segment, Exploding Heads Extras. I told you it's called Undead Mail. and it'll be out coming soon. It'll be video only segments right to the Facebook page.
Nice. Do it. Undead. Well, the Patreon thing, check it out. We've won. And I'll tell you why we've won. Because I'm going to put them over, but I'm also going to say that we've won because of it. Jeremy announced yesterday. Today's 420, by the way. Hey, 420 was ever celebrated. Unfortunately, I can no longer partake, but hey, I'm trying to move to Nevada. I'm trying to put that in my wife's head. My wife and daughter are in Nevada right now visiting their family. So they're there hanging out. And I'm trying to get my wife to move back to Vegas. They don't want to go because my mother's here and my daughter's her only granddaughter. So then I thought, you know what? I'm gonna play with my wife's head a little bit and tell her this. Hey, you guys are in Reno, okay? My daughter's hanging out with her cousin, who's the same age. They're having a blast together. You can hear the kids; they're loving it. My cousin, my wife's cousin, they're basically like sisters. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try this. So I sent her a message. I go, what do you think we move to Reno? She's like, what? Are you serious? So all of a sudden now she's not so opposed to it because it's Reno, not Vegas. Now, fuck my ma. You know what I mean? She's not bringing that up, right? But I know.
Fuck her and her walker.
Right? You got to play to it. But then I said, hey, check it out, honey. Weed is legal in Nevada. I said, you can even walk in the stores. They got edibles, the whole nine. Now I have a reason to go. It's not selfish. You guys have your thing. This is perfect. This is perfect. So stay tuned. We'll see what happens. But today's 420. Maybe one day, maybe next year I can partake. Although it is kind of like amateur night for smokers. It's like the night before Thanksgiving or St. Patrick's Day for real potheads because they smoke every day anyway almost. Or, But
What am I missing here?
fucking Canada. Oh, my God.
Yeah, sorry. It's
How do you
Easter
not
weekend.
know?
I thought we're talking about the resurrection of Jesus. I'm like, why does Brandon care?
I'm the one who killed them.
Oh,
420.
shit.
I'm like,
Okay.
what? Is this a new Star Wars reference? What the fuck's going on?
420's been around before they started that bullshit with fucking May the 4th, and they started that other bullshit. What's that other day they talk about now?
May the 4th be with you. I fucking hate that
Yeah,
shit.
it's my anniversary day, and it has nothing to do with that bullshit either.
But do you sign your anniversary cards to your wife? Like,
Well,
it's
now
been a great X amount of years. May the 4th be with us for years to come.
Now we do, of course.
Yeah.
Just to piss each other off.
What's that other holiday that got made up not too long ago? It has to do with a date. I never heard of it before, but it's
Independence Day.
recent. Oh, Independence Day. It's not. Something to do with a horror movie. Oh, there's like a Krampus night now, and like that they started doing that like 3 years ago. It was something to do with a date, and then there was some
Canadian 4th of July,
Canadian. Yeah, that's the
which is in October.
This is why
I
we
know.
all hate you.
I know. I don't know why. I always go back to that one joke.
No, not you. I mean, Canada hates the States.
Oh yeah, I don't blame it. I hate the States.
Not
already.
you
I've had
personally.
enough. I'm ready to come to Canada.
Well, 420. It's got to be weed. Weed is all over Canada, right? It's legal more there than it is here.
It's illegal everywhere.
So they don't have 420. They don't have 420 there. They don't talk about it.
No, I don't. I know. Maybe. Well, maybe I'm just not up on the
No,
lingo.
it's
420.
okay. You would have heard it by now. It's all over the place. It's okay. Forget about it.
You know what? Maybe it is. Like I couldn't.
I'm not
name-
even a big weed guy, and I know 420. Everyone
That's-
knows. Like it's 420. I'm not even sure what it means, but when someone's like, oh, it's 420, or even when the time is 420, like, oh, it's 420.
If we're
Yeah, that's.
talking angel dust, then I'm your man.
Is there an angel dust holiday?
That's such an '80s reference.
I don't even know how we got on this topic. I was gonna.
What the hell were
Horrorphilia.
we talking about?
I don't know.
Horrorphilia.
Horrorphilia.
Horrorphilia led to angel dust.
Is this episode even going to be listened to by anybody? Is Horrorphilia alive? Unless you're 22 shots?
Oh yeah, 22 shots. That's what I was talking about. Okay, yeah, that too. That shit. 22. We won the Patreon war, and I'll tell you why. Because Jeremy announced yesterday that at the end of the year or sometime in the near future, they are going to be giving away a 4K TV to their patrons.
That JP stole.
Oh, see that? Well, if he stole it, that goes against my whole thing. See, I'm going to say that we won because you got to think about that. A 4K TV, that's probably like $100 a month out of their Patreon. So if they're beating us by $100 a month, well, then guess what? We're not giving away a fucking 4K TV. We're pocketing the fucking money. I don't give a shit.
He didn't mention it. This was like a 2015 before HDR came out.
I'll give out an old 13-inch tube TV. It's funny when I saw JP wrote that. Oh, we're going to be giving away a 4K TV. I thought to myself, how about giving away a decent episode?
Oh. Hey. You know what? When I read that, I'm like, hey, that's a good promo. But we won.
No, it is. Yeah,
It's awesome.
It was just for that 1 month. We knew it was going to be for that 1 month, considering one of the donations we got. And
Unless you're Louis, who wanted to shoot us in the streets. Brandon, you're friends with this guy. Is he a good guy or not?
Who?
Louis. I don't know. He wears a hood. He's on the 22 shots page.
Oh, Louis. Yeah, he's.
Oh,
yeah,
Louis. Sorry.
Yeah,
He's a good guy.
Yeah.
Sorry, Louis.
No, he's fine. He's fine. I actually
thought he
used
wanted to
to
kill us
Skype
in
with
the
him back
streets.
in the day. Yeah, no, he's a good guy. He's fine. Yeah, I saw that. I was like, oh, I should
start
probably
like a
chime
war.
in, but I was like, yeah, nah, he's a good guy.
Okay. Sorry, Louis. You're okay in Brandon's eyes. That means you're okay in my eyes.
Me too.
I don't have to stab you now.
With nothing. I'm like, please don't make me do anything that I don't want to do.
I'll tell you what. Horrorphilia. let's hope it's still around when this is heard, because we've had all this drama lately with none to do with anybody except the web host or whatever the hell that Jason has to deal with. We've had problems. The site's been down. People have been making posts on the page. We've had several people inquire about it, and we're in the process of going back up. We don't know what's going to happen. The future is uncertain. I do want to take this opportunity right now to say that 2 weeks from today, when this show drops, about approximately 2 weeks from today is when the next show is going to drop. If you don't see us somewhere, look for us, because there will be a show coming out. Yeah. So what I'm saying is, if you subscribe to something and it doesn't pop up, that means we've had to jump ship and go independent. Because if it goes down, we're going to have to go somewhere. You know what I mean? So Jason says that it's easy as hooking up the subscriptions from the iTunes to a new account if we had to create one. But I don't trust anything, because when it comes to tech, I just don't trust it. So if 2 weeks go by, or any time, if there's ever a 2 week period that goes by and you don't hear anything from us, you're going to have to look for it. Go on. No, what I'm saying is, we're going to be out there. You just may not know where to find the show. Either
come find us.
We'll be floating around like those bad guys in Superman 2. In that, like...
What's that she called? That blasted Joro!
Please, find us.
We're going to be out there. Look at our Twitter. Join the Facebook group page again. One more reason to go to stay in the loop. Just our Instagram, whatever it is. If you go there and if we have a new feed, that is where we're gonna put it out there, so you know. We don't want to, have you guys miss out on the show. We don't want to miss out on you guys listening. How about our theme song? That was pretty cool. We played it backwards and we discovered what they were saying.
Yeah, dude, that was crazy.
Yeah,
when I heard that,
amazing. Huh?
I mean, I knew it was. That's the funniest part. I'm like, oh, you probably just reverse dialogue, but I wasn't actually thinking it was anything but gibberish. So then when I played it backwards to be the theme song for the bonus episodes, it was absolutely insane that it says, like, something like, listen to Exploding Heads if you know it's good for you, or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. And like 22 Shots is awful. the other guy's terrible. Exploding Heads won Patreon. It says all that. Like, just play it backwards. Just reverse it.
You just have to listen, Jeremy.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, you knew that? You figured that it was just dialogue reversed? I had no clue.
Well,
I thought they were actually saying something, and I just couldn't understand. Like,
well, I could tell it was reversed, but I actually did think it was. I never tried to reverse it before. I just figured they were like going apples, oranges, rah, 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 and then just reversing it to give the effect. I didn't actually think it was anything like that.
That should be our next theme song.
Apples and oranges, apples and oranges, apples and oranges. Supposedly that's like a technical thing, like when you're doing, when you're shooting and you're cutting back and forth, and so you're shooting from behind the person, and they're supposed to be saying a dialogue. They're supposed to be just going like apples and oranges, apples and oranges, apples and oranges, so their mouth is moving.
Yeah.
That's the film lesson for today.
Is Dave still with us?
I don't know. Dave gave up.
Dave's on mute for some reason.
Yeah.
I see his mic is literally on mute. Okay, now he's back.
I'm not on mute. I thought this fucking thing.
Dude, honestly, I've noticed this lately with Skype is that, because when I Skype with friends, like sometimes we just like mute each other for fun.
Right.
Like just to annoy each other. Like somebody will be talking and we'll put them on mute and they'll just talk for another 10 minutes and they don't even realize it. But lately, people are just automatically going on mute. And it's causing fights because people are like, oh, fuck you, Brandon. You just muted me. I'm like, no, I really didn't.
I didn't know you can mute somebody else. I can't mute you. How do I do that?
Yeah, you can. You literally click on the picture in the top. Click on the picture of me.
We had this power all along?
I don't have time.
Here, watch, listeners. You hear Dave? Dave's gone.
Yeah,
I just
awesome.
muted him.
That's fantastic. I can just mute you here, right? Oh, that's
Did
a fantastic. No, I muted me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Dave, unmute yourself. I can't unmute you. The crazy thing is you can mute someone, you can't unmute them. There we go.
Oh, God, everything I said was gone.
I even told you I muted you.
I know, but it said I was unmuted, so I thought I came back. I was cracking up. I was cracking wise. Oh, boy. Oh,
I prefer
anyway,
to blur my background.
Now we know. Yeah, we got Sexy B or Sexy C. I can't do nothing because I shut my camera off to help this. But hey.
Sorry, yeah.
I've never seen him in the daylight before.
I know, right?
It's a good-looking guy right there. It's a good-looking Canadian right there.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Indeed. What was I going to say?
Indeed.
Well, you're saying we had a busy show. There's so much you wanted to talk about.
I said fuck it. I'm going to talk about it anyway, and if the reviews suffer, they suffer.
They won't suffer. They won't suffer.
They're not going to suffer. I want to tell you guys something. I watched all the Rocky movies right in a row the past 2 weeks. I marathoned them because I'm not watching any 2019 horror. I'm watching what the fuck I want, and I'm having fun. So I watched them all. I'm going to tell you how I rank them. Rocky 1, 2, and 3 are all 10 out of 10. Okay? Boom. Rocky 4, I give it a 7.5 out of 10. Okay, that's the big news, though. But that's the big news. It's 7.5. I gave Nightmare 2 6.5.
Hey!
Oh!
Yes. So I've come around. So it's a 7.5. I'll get into it on another show why it is what it is, but it was kind of like one big music video in the second half, and it was kind of like Nightmare 3 to Nightmare 4, how they not to the degree. The movie itself didn't jump the shark, but there are jump the shark moments throughout Rocky 4, in my opinion, from where it began to where it went. But that's fine. Rocky 5, I give a 7. Rocky 6, also known as Rocky Balboa, I give a 6.5. And then Creed and Creed 2, I give them both an 8 out of 10. So what a solid series, man. But just wanted to...
I'm a little higher on Rocky Balboa. I like Rocky Balboa 5. Rocky 5 is my least favorite out of the series.
That's fair. I like him going back home. I like the way he is again. I don't know. There's something about it, but...
Can I help you with something? That's a line from Rocky 5.
Sue me for what?
Yeah. Sue for what? I love it. What a character. But anyway, that's another show. But the bottom line, if I'm going to a desert island, though, I'm probably bringing Nightmare 2 over Rocky 4 still. I'm just saying. I know. I'm sorry. I'll bring Rocky 3. But either way. And one more thing. This is about... absolutely. This is a month old. But I promised people on the page that I would talk about it again. Last time we recorded together, I mentioned that I was going to show Sleepaway Camp to my daughter. So... yeah, so I put something up on the group page, and they said, so what'd she think? What'd she say? And I put up a reaction video, but for whatever reason, I guess the video was too long. It wouldn't work on the site. So I said, next time we record, I'll do it. I didn't want to do it without Brandon being here. I wanted it to be an official show when we did it. So check it out. This is what she said, and this is what happened.
It's the dick part.
You don't get it? Which one should you get?
Well, the ending. I don't get the ending.
Well, remember how there was a little girl and a little boy in the beginning?
Yeah.
Well, the girl got killed.
Yeah, I know that part, but right after that.
What do you mean?
What is she doing? She just standing there with her mouth open?
Yeah, because she killed him.
I don't get it, though. Why is she doing that?
Why? Because she's been exposed. Everybody knows that she's a boy for real now.
Oh.
She just killed somebody. Well, she killed everybody.
Okay.
Exactly. Bada boom. She's right.
But that's it. No shock. She wasn't shocked. Her only concern was not that she had a dick, that it was a boy, that the mouth was open, and why.
Well, because why? It was why. I've been exposed. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
I was more creeped out why Christian's mouth was open during that scene.
You know what? I played it over by accident. I think I played it twice. I think I played it and then I hit start again and it played because it was real long. So, but anyway, the reaction that everybody was curious about, she didn't give a fuck that it was a boy and all along. She was just concerned. And then after I shut the camera off, she asked me, she goes, well, if it was a boy, how come it had a voice like a girl? And I said, I guess you just put it on, I said. But there you go. That's a modern audience. That's a 12 going on 13-year-old watching this for the first time. It is not the same shock as when we were kids. Her only problem, for Frankie, it was not. It was,
yeah, Frankie just ruined Sleepaway Camp for me.
Yeah.
She
was
said,
just.
why does she have a girl voice then? Yeah, that's right. The movie sucks now because of that. Yeah. Why does she have a girl voice?
That was her issue. Why does she have a girl voice if she's really a boy? And why is it's standing there with its mouth open? Not that. Oh my God!
Giving her estrogen?
I don't know. But
Take your estrogen.
So there you go, guys. It doesn't work on her like it did on us. What kind
Did she enjoy the film though, overall?
Yeah, she didn't say anything bad about it. It's another slasher. She enjoyed it. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
But that was that. No big reveal. I find it funny that she didn't put it over. That it was just like, yeah, okay.
Did she like Mel?
You were hoping to scar her a little bit.
Yeah. Did she ask what a baldy was? Like, I mean, there's so many questions left unanswered here.
What's a baldy, Daddy?
It didn't even affect her. None of that. Remember, this girl saw the Michael Jackson special. She saw Abducted in Plain Sight. It's different now.
Is it bad that I took my son to see Pet Sematary?
How old is he?
7 years old. He loved it. Actually,
there you go.
He liked it the least out of all of us. He said that the sister was scary, but he said that he didn't think the rest of it was very scary at all.
I think he might have the best taste of all of you.
Oh, you haven't even seen it yet.
No, I haven't. I want to see it. I do.
Brandon, I'll tell you right now, if you're going to remake a movie, remake it. It applies for this movie. No, it applies. That's what I like about it, and I'll leave it at that because we better move on now. Yeah. But episode 80, we're back. It's Patreon crazy. Matter of fact, what are we talking about tonight, and who picked it?
DB, my buddy. You take it from here.
Who?
You.
Me?
I
felt bad. I felt like I was interrupting Dave, and then all of a sudden it's like, you take it from here. We're doing our boy Derek Bougier Mario Bava films. 3 random Bava films. Baron Blood from 72, Lisa and the Devil from 76, and his last feature film, Shock, which I believe came out in 79.
Well, there you have it. We have Ghostwatch from Rob H. for a triple R, and we have, what's the Hammer film called? Oh, Dracula, Prince of Darkness from Robert P. So there you have it.
Oh, shit. I watched Dracula Dead and loving it. I messed up.
Yeah.
Nice.
You'll be
and
fine.
I'm going to announce our next couple shows so everybody knows. 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85. Everything's been selected. So patrons, put it up there. It's already been put out there. Everybody make their selection. So if anybody has more, they want to message us and tell us what to do, we will obviously be getting to them. But the episode 81 is going to be the Del Toro trilogy from the Ran Man. And we're doing the 3 Del Toro films. And I forgot what they are because I'm an idiot, but I'll let you know by the end of the show. 2 R's going to be Clown House. Never seen it, so now I'm going to have to see it.
Nice.
And Just Before Dawn from Gary M.
Nice.
Okay. Yep. Episode 82 is going to be our first year-in horror show from a patron, Christine S. Our favorite picked 1982.
Yeah.
So we are going to.
Awesome.
Yeah, she is awesome for sure. She is going to pick 7 movies from 1982, and each of us are going to be able to pick one that we want to bring to the table. So we'll see what they are. More on that next week. But that's what we're going to be talking, 10 films. Episode 83 is the non-horror show, and that's from Derek B. He took that over, and 3 feature reviews. I don't know what they're called, but I know that they are the films from Fulci that are not horror.
Yeah, and it's just a pretty cool idea.
Yep,
yeah,
sure.
to feature a famous horror director.
Absolutely.
His non-horror work.
Yep.
I can't talk. I've been out too long.
Yeah, you'll get it. You'll get it. Riding a bike, you'll get there.
I'm in the bushes right now.
We'll pick you up and wipe off your.
Doesn't realize that this is an interview to get back on the show.
Nice. And another feature review of that show is going to be The Cell, and that's from Mark L. And I've never seen The Cell, so now we're gonna have to watch it. Okay.
Wow, it's been a long time since I've seen that, but I'm looking forward to revisiting that. Nice.
And episode 84, another show from the Ram Man, another trilogy, Carpenter's Apocalypse Trilogy. So The Thing, Prince of Darkness, and In the Mouth of Madness. We'll be doing all those. And then we have 2 triple R's, Nightmares from 1983, and that's from Gary, and Demon Wind from Chris.
Awesome. Demon Wind. Nice.
Yep.
And Nightmares. I got to say this before you go right to 85. Our patrons are awesome. I don't care if we're making money or not, but they're awesome in the fact that they have not really let us down with terrible movies.
No.
They're not giving us, crap movies to see us suffer. These are some pretty awesome lineups coming up.
Why would they want us to suffer?
Well, you see it on other shows. It's like,
Well, we're not assholes.
Well, it's like a hasty.
Sorry.
I could be an
Jeremy.
asshole. Yeah.
Fuck Jeremy. Hashtag fuck Jeremy once again. Yeah. But anyway, no, I love him because he introduced me to how to gank fucking movies from Family Video by switching the stickers around. That's why I'm getting all these great deals now. But anyway, that's another story.
I'm wondering why Dave's collection has like tripled in the last week.
I'm out of control, man. I gotta buy it, dude. You cannot find here. This is proof, and I'm sad about it. I'm not bragging. I'm sad about it because I'm back to full-time collecting. But this is further proof that physical media is dying. It used to be very easy to go to a store and buy a fucking DVD shelf to put your shit on. I can't fucking find them anymore. I don't know where these guys are getting their shelves from, because at Best Buy they didn't have it. At fucking Kmart they didn't have it. Probably Walmart, but I'm just saying. Used to be a lot easier.
You can find, you know what, you look at it, go for VHS shelf, and then you'll be able to just go from there.
Yeah, I've been in the fucking stores. They're not there.
Ask where the VHS section is, and then ask where the upgraded section is.
Well, I wanted to say Blu-ray shelf, but I didn't want to come off like a blue tuber, even though that's what it is for me. But it is blues. But I
now,
mean,
the 4K shelves, I hear they're much easier to see in the stores.
I'm telling you. You can't find these things anymore. It's not easy just to walk into a store and go get a shelf if you're a collector. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you can find those online pretty easily, though. But I'm feeling like the opposite, like with collecting, because I mean, I'm still collecting, not as much, but I'm finding that collecting's as strong as ever for physical media because the prices keep going up and up of these releases, and people are still buying them.
Really? What do you think's going up?
Well, I mean, we had the whole Scream Factory thing where prices are going up. I'm seeing collector's editions of certain films. Like there's a Code Red release of Opera that just came out that I wanted to get because they have a standard Blu-ray edition that just came out that's like $15, and then they have a 3-disc edition with a slip cover and it looks beautiful. And I'm like, ooh, I like that. I'll pay the extra $10, $12 and get it for $25, $30 to have all those extra features. It was going for $50.
Oh,
yeah.
That's the Manna Carino edition.
The special Manna Carino. Nice. No. Check it out. Let me interject. Let me interject some seriousness into this. It's collecting from the collector perspective of us being a niche audience of horror geeks and people that are. But that's a small percentage. That's not the world. So, yes, that's why they can gouge us. Because it's not easy to walk into a Best Buy anymore or a Circuit City or a Media Play or a fucking Walmart or any of these places that have come and gone or that are still hanging on. You can't just go in there and pick these movies up. So these guys are gutting us, and the collectors are still paying the full price. So that, yes, there will be horror to get on physical media. But as far as walking into a store and getting it, streaming is coming more and more. We had a really good conversation on Rabbit and Red when I guest starred there about it. Very good show. I can't recommend it enough. A real serious conversation. And I was on the side of the collectors and physical media lasting. So that's, if I have a dog in the fight, that's it.
I think it's done.
You cannot just as easily go buy a case anymore. You can't just go into a freaking and get a shelf for your DVDs like it used to be. It's prevalent. Even the little stand-up ones, the standees that hold like 20 or 30, you used to be able to see them at like a Walmart and places like that in the section where the TVs were and shit like. They're fucking not there anymore. People aren't buying them. You know what I mean? People are more streaming, and that's just, except for us. Like I said, we're the niche audience. It is what it's like wrestling.
No, you're right. I can see it. I see it.
But then that's why they're raising prices, because these idiots. I shouldn't say that. Strike that from the records, because these people will pay the price no matter what it is. They won't boycott. They want Opera 3-disc, even if it costs $60 or whatever. They're gonna pay it. People don't know how to have self-control and say, you know what, fuck you, Scream Factory, and fuck you. We're not gonna pay those prices. But they still sell out. So until people can exhibit a little self-control, they're going to keep gouging us. But whatever.
No, that's true. Because Best Buy, man. Oh, man, Best Buy it's awful, the movie sections now at Best Buy.
There's nothing left.
It's sad. There's nothing.
I know. FYE, too. But they deserve it because they overcharge. So, I mean, FYE is doing good for collectors that are getting used things. But anyway, let me say our last show, episode 85. is the Ringu trilogy from Kevin Corpy. Speaking of releases, so we're going to be doing the original Ringu, and the sequel 2, and then 0 or O, whatever the hell you want to call it, the prequel. Those 3, that is our trilogy that we're doing.
Now the second one is Raisin, right?
Nope, Raisin does not count in that trilogy. That is something different. The second is just called Ringu 2. It goes Ringu 2. Raisin came out actually before Ringu 2, but it's not part of the official.
And then Ringu Star.
Nice. Awesome.
I'm actually looking forward to that because I've never seen any of the original rings.
Oh boy, I can't wait till you see them. Awesome.
Yeah,
All right.
I'm looking forward to it.
All right, and then we got 2 triple R's on that show. Devil, that's the one that was produced by what's his name, Shyamalan.
Love that movie.
And
yeah, it's a good movie.
It's
Yeah.
been a while. I own it. I like it. It's been a while though. Well, let's see what happens in 2019. And Starry Eyes. So,
Oh, nice.
yeah, so that's our lineup for the next 5 shows. So everybody knows what we're watching. You can get your hands on them, watch them. Now you know, because people have asked several times, hey, what are you guys watching? You know, if you can let us know before the show, so when it comes, we can listen to the show right away. So
Yeah.
there's
That's a solid lineup.
Yeah, it is. And anybody else, again, give us what you want. If it's out there, message us, put it on the Patreon. I've been putting several things out there. Some people are cashing in and some aren't. But either way, we're taking your money. So we're grateful. You know, we love you guys for it. So thank you. And do what you got to do. If you ever have to do extra shows, we will. We'll have no choice. But we'll cross that bridge if and when we come to it.
Yeah,
So,
you know, Christian and I were talking about that, you know, with schedules being thrown off and things getting chaotic at times. But, you know, for all the patrons who have picks, who want to make picks, we will at some point catch up and do everything you guys want us to cover. So I'm not worried about it. It will happen. It sucks that, you know, all this craziness and commotion is, you know, happened during the year of the Patreon. If it was just like a year like where we were just doing our own thing, we could just whatever take off 3 weeks and not do a show. But we're trying to at least keep up a little bit.
Yep, we'll get there.
We might gyrule you guys all.
Are you ready? I guess not. That's fucking great. That's why we need a soundboard. Son of a bitch. One of these days, we got this patron money. If this fucking asshole would answer me, how many times did I ask Jeremy on the thing, where do I get this thing? And I don't get it. I'm just going to message him directly. Jeremy, where do I find that freaking soundboard that you used twice and got banned from using it? Because we'll use it right.
It's true.
You know, I'll have it right here in my lap. I'll be pressing the buttons at the appropriate time, you know? But anyway, we'll get to it. We're going to do 3 movies. What do you guys want to do them in order? You want to do the, like we usually do?
Well, we have 5 movies. We just have to figure out.
Well, yeah.
Why don't we do one Bava, one Triple R, the second Bava, Triple R, and then the third Bav?
You
Correct.
want to do the Bava in year order? Is that what you were asking, Dave?
Yeah.
Oh,
All right, so
sorry. I misunderstood.
sweet setup you got, man.
Thanks. Yeah.
Jealous. Look how comfortable he looks.
I'm not really comfortable because I'm sitting crisscross and my legs are sweating as a result.
Applesauce?
Crisscross applesauce. You know what? That came out of nowhere for me.
Me too. I didn't hear of it till like 3 years ago.
Yeah. All of a sudden, when I was working in the schools with the younger kids, they come and sit crisscross applesauce. I'm like, is that Indian style? They're like, oh, you can't say that anymore.
Oh, maybe that's why.
I meant
Yeah,
Redskin.
that is what. I'm like, yeah, that's actually why, and I didn't realize that.
That's true.
Just like, you know, with the Puppet Master show, I didn't realize.
Just like Ding Dong Ditch.
You can't say Ding Dong Ditch?
No, Ding Dong, blah, blah, blah. I hate to say it. I'm not going to say it, but I hate to even refer to it. But when we were kids, Ding Dong Ditch was referred to as something else. And I know somebody's listening and they know what I'm talking about.
We called it, okay, maybe it's a dirtier version of Nicky Nine Door?
What the fuck's that, like a porno? What the fuck? Nicky Nine Door.
That's what we called it.
Well, in Buffalo, New
Is
York.
Lexington stealing that one?
Yeah, Nicky Dial. Yeah. Nicky Dial.
9-inch.
Yes, buddy. Woo! No, in Buffalo, it was called something else. I'll just say it was called N-word knockin'. That's what it was always called out here. I never heard it called anything else until I watched Beavis and Butthead, and there was an episode about it. It was called Ding Dong Ditch. I said, but by that age, I wasn't doing it anymore. That's something you do when you're a kid. But I saw I go Ding Dong Ditch, and of course, I know you can't call it that, but that's what it was called out here. So I assume this can't be the only place it was called because that's what the kids called it. So,
What did you call it, Christian?
Nicky Nine Door.
I
But I wonder if that Nicky was really N-word, and they just
bet he
changed it up.
Yeah, you can,
Yes.
that sounds much worse than what ours used to be.
I just don't play it anymore because everybody's got those cameras now on their freaking door. There's like,
The African American community actually wishes you would go back to saying the N-word versus Nicky Nine Door.
oh,
pretty soon you're not going to be able to say N-word. I mean, why is that any better? Oh, it's the N-word.
you're right, I guess.
Like I'm just going to walk up to, hey, you N-word. Like, I mean, you can't, like, why would that be any better?
No, you would still get killed for doing that.
That's true. You would, and you would have it coming.
Yes.
Why? And I wouldn't. That's why I wouldn't say it. That's why I'm like, how did that replace anything?
Wait, so you won't say N-word like I just did? You won't.
Usually I don't get myself into that situation.
I
Every
don't.
other
I say African Canadian.
That's an Afro-Canadian.
Oh, that's right. Amazing.
Ding dong
Anyway,
ditch.
apologies to everybody for that, that terrible tirade. But that's just the way the world was in the 80s. And now it's not, thankfully. I mean, I think it's gone overboard with some of the political correct and how offensed, is that a word? How easily, I don't know, offended everybody is.
Offended,
But
yeah. That's the word.
But good changes have been made for the better.
Yes.
You can't dispute
And,
that.
and apologies to all people named Nikki.
New again.
And anyone who lives in the
Give
big
me the
enough
old
house
Nicky
to have
Nine
nine doors.
Door.
Jesus. That's offensive. Of all the talk, Nicky Nine Doors is the most dirty thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, totally. Nicky 9-inch.
Poor Nicky.
Let's do this. We got
All
more
right,
things to
gents.
do.
Yeah,
Oh,
let's. All right, ratings.
Sorry,
all right.
Derek.
Let's start with our Mario Bava special. A young man visiting the castle of a murderous ancestor in Austria accidentally brings his dead relative back to life, searching for new victims. This is 72 Barren Blood.
Barren Blood. This is a first time watch for me. How about you guys?
Me too. And it crossed off,
Me three.
obviously for this show and for the 72 show coming up that I'm doing with 22 Shots.
Oh, nice. There you go.
So
That wasn't aired yet?
two birds, one stone.
Yes.
Out of the three we did tonight, for me, this was the most accessible. And maybe not for me, but I mean, if I generalize our listenership, I think they would find this the most accessible. But I'm
not
generalizing.
anymore.
You don't think so?
I'll tell you why. Because Shock is on.
You know what? I worded that incorrectly. I meant it would
As
probably
a
be
story?
the most universally accepted, enjoyed by the masses movie. Is what I meant to say. Whether I even articulated that correctly.
You know what? I could agree with that. It's of the three, it's the most straightforward. It's
Yes.
sort of like there's no I don't want to say nonsense, but there's no sort of like surreal or crazy artistic underlyings in this. It's pretty much a straight story. I think it's just overly simplistic to a point where I'm like I would have liked a little bit more. I don't even know what I'm looking for, but
Well, I think if you're comparing it to Lisa and the Devil, this is straightforward. Like I said, this is like a Phantom of the Opera-esque slasher movie in a sense. It's very straightforward comparatively to the other two movies.
yeah, but the other two movies they Lisa and the Devil especially gets right to the point also. But Barren Blood, you know what? You got our lead character Peter, who arrives in Austria. He's just finished up his master's degree, and he's there basically on holiday. He's meeting up with his uncle, and he's just going to chill out and research his lineage. And it just seems like within like 5 minutes, he's conjuring up his his dead great grandfather, who happens to be this sinister Baron Otto van Kleist. Like all of a sudden he has these incantations, and 2 seconds later they're conjuring them up. Like where I would have liked a little bit more, I don't know, setup to that.
Okay, so this was the last one I watched, and I'm just making sure my levels are okay. Hopefully they are. But the reality would be that because it was the last one I watched, I was like, wow, this is the fastest paced. It's almost like the most entertaining from the get-go. So, and it's because of that. So I think I appreciated that because Shock and Lisa and the Devil were more leisurely paced. So that's where I'm coming from. But yeah, you're absolutely correct. I didn't see it as a detriment to the film, but I totally agree with you.
Yeah, I almost wish it was more accidental that Peter conjured up the Baron, because it was just so nonchalant. It's like, okay, I'm gonna read this incantation, and then when they go back and they do it for the second time, and then like the reverse incantation just flies into the fire, like nobody seems to give a shit until people start getting killed. It's almost like they don't believe it, which I guess they probably don't. They think it's just, sort of like, like.
Well, and I'm sorry for cutting you up, but the reason we don't give a shit is because that blonde is so drop dead fucking gorgeous.
Yeah,
that you can't stop looking at her.
Elkie Summer, who's in this and Lisa and the Devil.
Yeah.
That's one thing that's great about horror, and you see this in Hammer films, Italian films. You see it in all horror films. Is that the actors and actresses who do those types of films, they tend to stick with the genre.
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. The girl from Baron Blood, the lead girl? Well, there was really only one girl, no?
Yeah, Eva, who played the assistant who was working on the hotel, on converting the castle into a hotel, plays Lisa in Lisa and the Devil.
And which girl is she in this one? She's the blonde girl?
Yeah,
the friend?
Yeah.
Holy cow.
I mean, she's 5 years younger in this one. This one was made, 4 or 5 years before, so.
Wow, dude. Wow, because I'm watching Baron Blood and I'm just like, this girl is beautiful. Holy cow.
Well, you didn't think she was beautiful in Lisa and the Devil?
I did, but I thought that she was different. I was actually looking and saying, I think she's really pretty. Is she as pretty as the first girl from the other movie? But it's the same fucking girl.
Well, so I watched Lisa and the Devil, and then I watched this, and I'm like, did they just use the same plane? Because Lisa the Devil, and again, we'll talk about that after, ends on a plane, and this one fucking starts on a plane. But of course, they were filmed like it was like a 5-year difference.
It's kind of like Dawn of the Dead and Day of the Dead. How one ends with a plane and Day of the Dead starts. A helicopter, and Day starts with a helicopter, and it's confused people. But Ava, is that the girl from this one, the hot blonde one? Because there's two girls, and Ava isn't even the lead girl. She's the other one, right?
No, Ava's our lead girl here.
Isn't this the movie where there's two?
What movie did you watch, Dave?
No. There's two couples in this movie, and they go to the castle. Am I right or am I right?
No.
You're thinking of Dracula, Prince of Darkness.
That's what I got confused with. The girl from Dracula, Prince of Darkness, because I watched that first. That's what I was thinking. Oh, man.
And I'm telling him he's thinking of Lisa and the Devil, and now I'm wondering what the hell is... Oh, yeah, Dracula, Prince of Darkness with the brothers and their wives. Yeah.
Right.
No,
I wonder if the Beatles struggled like this when they got back together. After a hiatus.
Yoko.
Yeah.
Fucking Yoko.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh,
it's okay, John. We'll get there.
I am John. You're right. But the two blondes. Why I didn't make? I'm thinking of the other girl from freaking Prince of Darkness. I'm a fucking mess. That girl from Prince of Darkness was the knockout of knockouts. Anyway,
what's her nane? The one who played. You're talking about the blonde from Prince of Darkness.
Yes.
But the redhead from Prince of Darkness is also stunning, and she's Barbara Shelley, who was a huge first horror star of like England, like I forgot how they worded it. Fuck.
Maybe you'll figure it out when we start reviewing that movie later on.
Let's get back to Baron Blood.
Okay, how about Peter? It was bugging me. This reminds me of a guy from another movie when he's wearing the turtleneck and the hairstyle. And by the end of the movie, I was going crazy because I'm thinking, I think it's a guy from another Italian movie, but I can't look up every Italian movie I ever watched. What am I going to do? Right? And it literally occurred to me as the three of us are sitting here talking, it just popped into my head. This guy looks just like, and I think his name is Peter in that movie too, from Black Christmas.
Oh my God. That's hilarious.
turtle
I thought you were
neck
talking
and the
about Peter Cushing from Dracula, Prince of Darkness in the opening scene. Okay. Okay.
I thought you were talking about Nicky Nine Doors.
No, but all joking aside, yes. It's funny. I guess Peters like their fucking turtlenecks.
Peter. Yeah, they do. Yeah, Peter's like turtlenecks. That's
And
kinda
why
so cool.
is it always in these films that I mean, and I have no. This is not an issue for me, but man, Peter gets there, and 3 days later, him and Eva are not only in love, but they're saying, you're the only one for me. You're the only. I'm like,
Yeah, but they played with that because she was taking her. Like I love how he would try to put his arm around her, and she would like pull the arm off. It was kind of good. They played with it a little bit, so it wasn't just right into it. But yeah, it was pretty much right into it.
And that's my problem with older films, and I've said that time and time again. It's like a cliched thing about older movies that I do not like. How people fall in love instantly all the time. You know,
You have to have a
I
love
don't mind
interest.
it for pacing issues, but it is funny to see. But the kills in this are pretty nasty.
Oh, his face is great.
Oh,
And it's all
the
gross. The kills are good. Like I said, he's wearing the cape and the hat. I mean, it's a really cool.
It is. Yeah, it really
it's
is.
Phantom of the Opera-esque. Yeah.
Yeah, it very much is. With witches, they use this medium. What's her name?
I don't know what her name is. I don't
Well,
remember.
the witch they talk about in here is Elizabeth Holly.
She's
Who was
blind.
cursed by the Baron before she was killed, and she swore eternal suffering for the Baron. So when the Baron died, he basically suffered like the worst death possible. And then they use like a medium that they know of to help battle the Baron, because at this point they don't have the incantation anymore because Peter just let it fly into the fire without a care in the world. Christina.
Oopsie.
Christina.
Yeah. Was she
Christina,
blind
that's
too, or am I confusing that with the?
That's
the other
Lisa
movie.
and the Devil, the
Yeah,
sudden
fuck,
blind
man.
woman.
That's the mother,
shit.
and Lisa and the
Yeah. It's because I watched the movies too close together. Now everything's blending together. But okay. But anyway, yeah, no, that scene was really effective as well. But you're going to hear me be a little repetitious here. But I guess because Mario Bava started as a cinematographer, it's exquisite. I know he wasn't the cinematographer. I don't think on any one of these movies. I think there's a dedicated cinematographer, but the movies look amazing. The framing in these movies are great. Like the sets are great. And again, this is going to be a running theme throughout tonight, other than Ghostwatch. But I mean, the reality is that there's some great sets here, and that whole observatory thing. There was a movie we just reviewed recently. It was Don't Look Now. It reminded me of that cathedral like area in there for a bit, like the way that staircase went up and everything inside.
Oh yeah,
it was great.
and I love the scene where the Baron's chasing Eva through the narrow hallways of the castle, and it's just you could say with any Bava film, and like I said, I haven't seen all of his work, but now I've seen a majority. I'm definitely getting up there now. The set pieces are exquisite. The colors, the look of the films is exquisite. The sound design, the music, everything just fits really well. So it's very, very much eye candy.
Yeah.
Even if the film itself isn't holding you in, you're enjoying looking at what you're seeing.
What did you guys think of the mystery of this one? I mean, I kind of called it like right away, and I had never seen it before. I guess it's just, maybe the fact of obviously just seeing a ton of movies since then. But
well, you know what? I was looking at IMDb, and unfortunately, when you look at the cast, and I was just seeing who's in it, it says Joseph Cotton, who I really enjoy, and it says Joseph Cotton, Baron / Alfred Becker. I'm
no.
Okay, yeah, So I'm not even looking to spoil the film for me, but it is very obvious, and that's another critique I would have made is maybe I don't know, maybe it was a shock to some people originally, but I think it's so obvious that I think they could have maybe made it more of a big reveal, especially since they focus a lot on that painting with the scratched off face.
Yeah.
So it should have been like a big freaking reveal at the end, like maybe they somehow restore the face, or somebody comes along who's able to restore the face, and it's revealed that it's actually Alfred Becker, who who buys the castle after the hotel restoration guy gets killed, and
Well, you have a couple red hair. You've got your crazy Ralph guy.
yeah, what's his name? Fritz, right?
Yeah.
Fritz, yeah. Yep.
That was a great kill for Fritz in that fucking coffin with the
the
spikes.
Iron Maiden.
Yeah, the Iron Maiden.
The aftermath of it when you see the guts.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Oh man, nasty.
That was good shit. I'll tell you one thing that deterred me from thinking that guy was really this guy was that he was in a wheelchair. And then when he bought it and he goes in the house, I'm thinking, first and foremost, I didn't realize that, number one, this girl is a sudden expert on this castle. So he just hires her. Okay, you know a lot about this castle, apparently. I guess that, I don't know. They didn't mention that earlier. She seemed like she was her first time there. I don't know. Maybe I'm just missing.
Well, she was working on the restoration with the other guy who had his neck broken. She was working on the restoration of the hotel, turning it into a hotel. So she was like an architect.
Okay.
So when Peter's uncle Carl said, "Oh, you might want her help. She's qualified. She's been working on this." So that made sense to me in terms of, she's been working in here. She knows what's going on. She might be able to help you. It seemed like almost like he was trying to just like kind of get her work, considering the project she was just working on fell apart because everyone was murdered and people were disappearing.
Okay, thank you. No, I could buy that. But then after they get in, I'm seeing this guy. I'm like, why would a guy who's in a wheelchair buy a house with so many stairs? And they never show going up.
You never. Yeah, how does he get in and out? And the other thing is, yeah, that's there to throw the audience off. That's the only reason why it's there. Like, I'm just gonna throw myself in the wheelchair and fool these fucking assholes over here. They'll never suspect it's me. Like, what else? Like, who cares? Otherwise, like, it's totally for us, the audience, to go, "I can't be him. Wheels over there can't be doing everything here.
It can't be you."
Yeah. I had him and I let him go.
Wheels.
Nicky 9 wheels.
Oh, that's great. But here's what I don't get. So he was doing both at the same time. He was pulling double duty. He was walking. Was that a fake mask or was that really his appearance?
Well, no, they mentioned towards the end about, the fact that they brought him back from this incantation, that if that was the truth, that why couldn't he just change his appearance? In which case, okay, it makes sense. You could just go from being this hideous creature to being anyone you want, but why would you keep going back to being the hideous creature then?
Or a guy with well, I guess he really didn't have the bad legs, which we've already established. But at the end, when he gets the bad legs,
he had a case of the bad legs.
Oh, these fucking legs! I love when the people attack him at the end, maniac style. I think, doesn't his face go back? Doesn't it go? Doesn't it actually do the Scooby Doo? And he gets like, you see his face all fucked up again for a split second.
So. I think you do. Yeah. The funny part was when he went to that guy's house and the guy just lets him in for no reason. This tall,
come on in.
Then he asks for water. He looks at the guy's face. He tells the girl, "Bring hot water." I'm like, that's gonna help that freaking hideous thing. I'm like, what the fuck?
He wants to burn it back normal.
I felt bad for that guy because that guy was a dedicated doctor. Like any normal doctor who answered the door and saw that would slam the door shut and call for assistance. He was like, "Oh, come in. What happened to you?"
Yeah.
I mean, his whole face was ripped apart.
Now, why was he killed? What was the point of that scene?
Why was who killed? The doctor killed?
Yeah.
The doctor was killed because he was going to call an ambulance and bring attention to it, whereas the Baron was back to, reclaim the castle and just wreak vengeance and torture like he did 400 years previous or however many years it was before.
But
why do you need a reason?
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. But no, what I'm going with it was, what was he doing there in the first place? What was he going there for in the first place is what I mean. Or did it just happen to circumstance?
Well, that's the thing that doesn't tie in with the whole him being able to change his image is the fact that he's going to this doctor at the beginning, you think, to get medical attention. It looks like it is. That's
what you figure, and then he kills him, and he's like, "I gotta get an ambulance." But I'm like, but that's kind of weird. I'm only questioning it now that we're discussing it, but it was totally okay with it when I was watching it.
You're right, I was too, and now that you're bringing it up, it's kind of a twist. It would have been better if it was revealed that, it was a Joseph Cotton mask at the end.
Or a Frank Cotton mask.
Frank Cotton. I just caught a case of them bad legs. That's my new favorite thing now.
Oh, man.
Well,
Yeah, there's definitely some issues.
No, at least the little girl figured it out. I mean, I was wondering why they kept focusing on this girl. And speaking of focusing, he was really fucking zoom in, zoom out happy with this film. I thought it was like excessive with the zoom ins and the zoom outs. I was like, what the hell?
Oh, no, all three of them. That's his style. I noticed it consistent through all three of the movies we watched.
I noticed it mostly.
Really?
Here.
No.
Yeah, because he kept doing it to the little girl. He kept doing it to the girl because that's why I was bringing up the girl, because she was like, oh, yeah, Becker's the ghost or something. She said, he goes, when she started saying that, that's what made me think of every time I think of that girl, I think of the freaking zoom ins and zoom outs of her throughout the whole movie.
And she's great, man. I wish she would continue to do work, because she was in so many of those horror films at the time. She did Demon, she did Deep Red, she did Who Saw Her Die. She did so many like films as a kid.
Oh, wow! I didn't even make the connection. She was the girl in Deep Red.
Yeah.
That's just his signature move. I didn't think anything of it other than I was like, oh, cool. He kept it consistent throughout these three films. I don't really remember it in Blood and Black Lace, and some of the other ones I've watched of his, but he was definitely running throughout all three that we watched. And it worked. It worked for a lot of, it could be a little jarring at first, but I do love the way they played around with it. Like, it would zoom in on a guy, but then they'd have the camera move and then zoom back. So that the guy that was like pulling focus would have been like working overtime there, because I guess every time you zoom in, you actually have to like fix the focus of it so everything remains in focus, and then if they zoom out again, you got to rein it back again. So it's interesting. Like, it was a cool style. And when we get to Lisa in the Devil, I noticed another style that I think Spike Lee ripped off.
Interesting. Okay. How about this? Here's what I found funny. He snaps the guy's neck, right? He snaps the guy's neck like, Jason Voorhees style or something.
Yeah.
And then he hangs him.
Yeah.
He could have just had his neck snapped by hanging him, but instead it was almost like he was trying to.
Well, that
I
was
don't
a
know why
cover-up.
he did that.
It was a cover-up.
What does he care? What the fuck? He's a freaking ghoul. Why does he have to cover anything up?
Well, because he wants to stay in the castle and continue his reign of torture. But that's the thing. He's like, he's known as this sadistic baron who just tortures and destroys life. And that was just adding insult to injury. It's like, I'm going to fucking Voorhees his neck and then hang him.
That was it. I just thought it was a cover. He did it with his bare hands. He's like, oh, now I got to cover my tracks. Make this look like the guy hung himself.
I just didn't think, why would he care about covering up his tracks? He's a ghoul wreaking havoc.
True.
He wants people to find a dead body. What's the difference? What can they do? Nothing. What are they going to do? Well, we better get out of here, or we better call an exorcist, or I don't know.
Well, I guess he already had it in his mind that he wanted a body to be discovered and it to look like a suicide, and the project falls apart, and then he shows up as Becker and this eccentric millionaire with the bad legs, and and buys the castle to restore the castle.
And the weirdest, how was that an auction? They're about to auction, they're like, we got a winner. I guess they pre-did it? They pre-gamed?
Yeah, they even said for the
was it foreclosed? Is that what's going on here? A foreclosure on the castle?
No, it was like private bids. It was like bids beforehand that they said.
And the winner is?
And the winner is.
Oh, man. No, it was cool. It was cool. At the end, did she throw that freaking, what do you call it, an amulet?
Amulet.
He called it a trinket, which I didn't like. You think a trinket's gonna work on me or something? That was funny. But when the amulet landed on freaking, what's his name, Curtis or whatever the hell his name is, Fritz.
Curtis.
Did she throw it on him on purpose, or did she happen to drop it and then?
I think she dropped it because she cut herself as she let go of it.
Yeah.
And the blood then dripped onto it. It was like a happy coincidence that this was the way to resurrect the dead and destroy the Baron.
But it's fine. I'd rather it have been an accident than her all of a sudden saying, oh, wait, this is all I have to do, and throw it on him. But the way it was thrown, I couldn't tell. That's why I asked. To me, it looked like maybe she did it on purpose, but that's why I posed the question. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm actually fine with that, too. I don't know if I zonked off during this. I don't think I did, but where did she get the amulet from? Was it from the medium?
Yeah, I think so. I remember the medium took it out and said, oh, yeah, we have this or something.
Okay. I wish they had done something more with the medium's kill. They just have her like standing there like she's all powerful as the Baron's approaching her, and she just like kind of like puts her arms up over her head like as if she's like about to be bitch slapped or something, and like no, and then they just cut away. Especially considering how much great like effects they have in this in terms of the kills.
Yeah.
Or even the after effects of the kills. At least come back and show the after effects of what happened to the medium.
Yep.
But the ending to this is I think is its strongest point. I love it. I love the ending to
Like
this.
when all the guys come back and have revenge.
I love it. I love the fact that they show him getting almost like it's almost like he's being crucified. He's being chained down and stuff. But then when Peter, his uncle, and Eva are escaping in the car, they don't go back. You just hear the screams, and it's nightmarish. And you hear the witch, the one who was killed by the Baron, Elizabeth Holly. You hear her laughing, and she's asking, can she have the last blow in sweet revenge? And she wants to cut into his heart, and she's laughing, and her laughing with his screaming. It's just juxtaposed perfectly.
Yeah.
I love Holy Face, the guy who came out of the Iron Maiden. The effects there were great. Like when they open it, when he comes back, it looks really good.
So Fritz has been referred to as Curtis and Holyface so far, and I just used the word juxtaposed. I'm not even sure I used it correctly, but this show is.
It worked. It worked.
It worked.
Might be the simplest of the movies that of the Bava films we saw tonight.
It definitely is. It's hard to really talk about it because we kind of just went in order right there and basically, it's a straightforward story.
Yeah, and if you like an old school Phantom of the Opera-esque, I keep referring back to Phantom of the Opera, even though there's nothing to do with opera in it, but just that sort of ghoulish madman wreaking havoc in a castle, then you'll enjoy this movie. I mean, I said, I don't know if you over-explained it when I was like, or re-explained it with Dave. When I said accessible, I meant I think it would be the most appreciated by the masses from a viewing standpoint. Comparatively to Shock and Lisa and the Devil, Dave.
Yeah,
that's where I was going with it.
I brought that up with Dave before when you were transitioning.
Fucking around, fucking around with the wires. But yeah, I mean, it was my favorite watch. Maybe because, like Dave, I'm a simple guy, but I found it a lot of fun. It was the fastest paced out of the Bava films. Had all of his signature styles, in my opinion.
It's funny because they're all the same length, but this one definitely moved faster because of its simplicity. But I think that's where it kind of misses the mark of being a super high grade for me. Is that the setup is just overly simplistic. It just seems like Peter's too intelligent of a guy to just make this stupid mistake and let the thing fly away and burn, and then it's just sort of I guess because of the time, even the uncle says, we're living in a time where these superstitions are being disproved by science, that they're sort of like nonchalant, like, oh, we didn't really do anything. But I would have liked a little bit more setup to that, a little bit more mystery with Becker's character versus the Baron. Not so obvious. Maybe IMDb.
Yeah, just don't read IMDb next time.
Yeah, just don't.
Spoiler.
But I still think it's obvious anyway. But a bigger reveal of, oh my God, that's you.
I think Peter's an idiot. How's that for you? I think he's an idiot for reading that stuff aloud in the first place and having the resurrection.
Well, that's the thing. I see that. That's how it comes across, especially when they set it up that he's such a smart guy who's, the uncle's like, oh, we think it's wonderful. You just got your master's. You're going to get a doctorate and this and that. And then 2 seconds later, it's like, let's see if we can resurrect my dead great-grandfather who murdered millions of people.
Right. What are you doing? Yeah.
For our viewing pleasure.
I don't know. I like that happy music in the beginning, though. He was so happy. It's great. I do have a complaint about, I have the Arrow Blu-ray, and there's no freaking subtitles. And I have to subtitle these films because I have issues with the accent sometimes. So I probably missed about 25% of what they were saying.
The accent on the English dubbing?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Right. But because they're not done by guys like you and I, the dubbing. It's not us doing, you know what I mean? The dubbing is by people from, I don't think they're from the United States. They're definitely foreign to us, whoever's doing this dubbing, I think. They have accents.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you something. The Arrow one you own, are you region free?
Yeah.
I always wanted to get that, but I believe it's a Region B film.
I think it is too. I believe. I'll let you know for sure. But
yeah,
I got that Arrow, Lisa and the Devil. It was a
Kino.
Yeah, it's a 2-pack. It comes with another movie too. Yeah, I forgot which one it was, but it was on the disc. Yeah, I think it's Kino. But anyway,
it probably comes with the other version of the film called The House of Exorcism.
Maybe that's it then. There you go.
Which is Lisa and the Devil basically butchered.
Oh, is that the deal?
Yeah.
Okay, because I just put it in and it said on there and it said choose this movie or choose this movie. Like,
yeah, if anyone's confused about this, and believe me, I was too, but I'll ask one of the experts, whether it be Derek or Moods or any other friend who has much more superior knowledge of this. Lisa and the Devil was also cut and re-released years later as House of Exorcism, but the version you want to watch is Lisa and the Devil.
Right. It's like Argento with Phenomenon and Creepers, you know?
That's the one thing I hate about Italian films is there's always like 75 cuts of the film. Just give me the cut I'm supposed to watch.
Right.
I don't need 75 cuts of the film on the DVD or the Blu-ray.
Like the Beyond, wasn't it the Seven Doors of Death?
Seven Doors of Death. That was the original title.
And it was cut to shit. Right?
Oh, was it cut?
Or
okay,
it was censored, definitely censored comparatively.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Anyway, do you guys have anything else to add, or do you think we should rate this bad boy?
His eyes burn like fire.
Ratings? That's Jeremy after 5 minutes of an interview. Ratings? I'm not an interview, a review. Pardon me. You ever notice that on fucking 22 Shots? These guys want to dig deep, and he's just like, if there's like more than 2 seconds of silence.
You calling me the Jeremy of the show?
No.
You son of a bitch!
No, you brought it around. You actually brought some levity to the situation by saying, "Hey, yeah."
No, I mean, I think we're there. I mean, I you can't really dive much deeper with this film. It's very straightforward. It's quite entertaining despite a few of its faults that we brought up. And like Christian says, it does feel like the fastest paced, considering it is actually the longest. I just looked it up, the longest of the 3 we watched.
Yeah, by about like 4 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, not by much, but that's funny that it happens to be the longest, but it feels the shortest.
Interesting. Yeah. It felt long to me, not as long as the next one we're going to talk about, but I watched them in a chronological order, and this felt long, and the second one felt even longer. But we'll get to that when we get to that. But
well, I don't know. To me, I'm not like super high on the movie, but I had a lot of fun with it. First time watch, I gave it an 8 out of 10.
Wow. Holy shit. 8 out of 10.
It's a fun movie.
Wow.
It looks great.
I got to tell you, I'm a 6.5. That's as high as I can go.
Ooh.
I liked it, but it moved kind of slow for me. And that's it. I enjoyed it, but I'm not over the moon.
Yeah, let me squeeze in right between you guys. I'm at a 7.5 after first time viewing, but I was actually surprised. I really thought I was going to be coming in the highest on this, and I think there's always room for these films to go up. But I mean, just those few faults. I wouldn't have minded if this film was 10 minutes longer with a few changes.
Yeah, well,
because it is so aesthetically pleasing to the eye.
Yeah, it looks good. You can't argue that. Not at all. It's technically, there's no issues there. That's that. That's our first movie. I think that you guys. I'm curious about Ghostwatch. You know what I just realized though? Every movie we're doing tonight is a foreign horror movie.
Foreign horror.
Yeah, 3 Baba, and then Hammer, and this, Ghostwatch. So
there you go, man.
I'm really curious about this Ghostwatch situation because you guys know.
So you want to go to Ghostwatch then, or do you want to go to you're skipping over Drac, right to Ghostwatch? Let's do Ghostwatch.
Yeah, I think we should do it because
you're not going to be happy.
The comments you guys have been, I'm shocked because
if Dave's not going to be happy, think about how we felt having to watch this thing.
I can't believe what I'm hearing. I can't fucking believe what I'm hearing. This movie is on my found footage challenge list. I rewatched it again.
Oh, it was a challenge, all right.
Last year. Wow. I'm just going to have to let you guys talk because I have a completely different take on this movie. Wow. And I think you guys are in the minority. I think most people.
I think we are in the minority. This film is highly rated, and I'll just give the brief synopsis here. Ghostwatch from 1992, TV movie which was originally aired on Halloween of 92. the BBC gives over a whole evening to an investigation into the supernatural. And I'm just going to stop the description there because it kind of just goes into a whole explanation of the whole movie on IMDb. So, and this one's directed by Leslie Manning and written by Stephen Volk and stars actual BBC newscasters.
Yeah, that's
from the time. And yeah,
brilliant.
You got
Brilliant.
it. I'll give it its props, man. I mean, like I said to Christian before you got on, because we just started talking about how we just had troubles with this film. I said to Christian, I said, this film is only effective one time, and that was Halloween 1992.
And I wholeheartedly agreed.
I just feel like seeing this film at any point after knowing it's not real, just immediately you just focus on the story, and it is just so slow a build.
And that's exactly what I said. Presentation, from a marketing standpoint, 10 out of 10. Like, absolutely great. It fooled people. Supposedly there are lawsuits. I don't know if you can give us more information on that later, Dave. Like, all that stuff, great.
There were deaths.
But we
can't killed himself.
But we cannot let that affect our view of the actual product, which is the movie. So the aura and everything that surrounds it, I will say, fantastic. That's great. The fact that it could do that. But the movie itself was a chore. A chore to watch. I was going in great. Like the first half hour, I'm like, this is cool. They're building, and then I'm like going, wait, it's just not going anywhere. It's just retreaded, and it felt like the second half hour was like just a total copy of the first. Very little build, and then at the end, there's 5 minutes of craziness at the end.
Yeah, the last 5 minutes is like bonkers, and that's where it's like, oh, okay, that's where I woke up. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll watch this.
But yeah,
wow.
From a marketing standpoint, yeah, I said, wow, that's super cool that they did that. But I'm separating that from the actual film itself. And to judge it now, since this was the first time I watched it, it's not all that great.
Yeah, and this is more mockumentary than found footage, but is this considered like the first? I mean, this definitely influenced, what followed, Blair Witch stuff and everything after that.
Right. That's why it's one of the reasons it was on my list, because 92, they didn't do anything like this before in this manner, and it was televised on on the BBC.
Yeah.
The strength of this movie is the legitimacy of it, and that people I've heard. I want to say it was Duncan. It might have been somebody else if it wasn't Duncan, but somebody that does a podcast.
I'm willing to bet it was someone else if it wasn't Duncan. It might have been someone else.
It was someone from the UK. It was a podcaster that had said that they watched it the night it happened and it terrified them, and that it seemed legitimate. It was basically like what they did with War of the Worlds in the freaking whatever year that it was on the radio. That people, the legitimacy, that it really worked. I think that right now, being 2019 and its ho-hum with these mockumentaries, that you guys are looking at it and not giving it appreciation for what it was at the time. This is kind of like if 30 years from now somebody watches Blair Witch for the first time, and by then let's say they continue to have Watch in the Woods movies and handheld movies, they're going to be like, okay, big deal. That's what I think you guys are doing now. I don't think that you guys are thinking about that in 1992. The brilliance of doing something like this.
Yeah, but that's okay. That's why I say from the marketing standpoint, great. But like that's it. You have to base it on that. I still say the Blair Witch, the marketing was the best part of that. And that's quite all right for people to say, that's it? Because that really is it. It was the marketing that surrounded it, that the fanfare. But I will have to separate it from this movie because I didn't see it in 1992 on TV. There's no nostalgia link to it whatsoever. I'm judging it from what it is right now, and it's not remotely scary. I will say not even remotely scary. Even when shit hits the fan, quote unquote, it's not even scary.
Because it feels generic, because it's stuff we've seen after, which I get, Dave. I totally give it props. I know, but I'll give it its props for its originality. I thought the presenters did a great job. I mean, they're not actors; they're real BBC hosts, and they do a great job of trying to convince you that this is real. But like I said, the moment's passed. If I had watched this in Halloween of '92, I can't say for sure what my reaction would have been, but I definitely would have been more scared and more into it than I was this time. at this time, obviously.
I'll give you that. I'm just in 1992, we had this and we had Man Bites Dog, which both came out the same year. They were set up as mockumentaries.
Yeah.
Before that, there was a movie in 1957 which was kind of put on as a joke, and I forgot which country it comes from. They called it the Spaghetti Harvest, and they basically were trying to fool people into saying that spaghetti came from trees, and they showed people harvesting spaghetti from trees, the noodles, and all this stuff, and that was passed around to mess with people and to make them believe that. And that was in 1957. That's the first instance of that being used. Then, of course, you have Cannibal Holocaust in 80, Manson Family Movies in 84, and Guinea Pig 2 in 85. Another movie called UFO Abduction, which I'm a big fan of, in 1989, which appeared on television, and something else called the McPherson Tape. And then these two movies.
Shit, you're like the fucking Rain Man of mockumentary / found footage.
Well, what about Spinal Tap though? Like, I mean, unless you're just talking about horror films.
Well, I kind of am talking about it from that perspective,
Okay.
but yeah, of course, Spinal Tap. But you're right, good point. But Spinal Tap is obviously it's too comedic, where you know that it's not really a mockumentary.
Yeah,
I mean, like when
to air this live, to air the things I will say that were awesome that I read about this after the fact. To air it live is awesome. To actually have the hotline number that's presented in the film be a real number that people were calling into. That's when they found out it wasn't real. Is what I read, that when they would call into that number, it would say this is not real, but it would still allow them to leave their messages and their stories.
Well, that's cool. I didn't know that part happened, but that's a good point because the number did come on the screen.
Yeah, and it was
figured
a
that
real
they
number.
I thought they would take calls just to make it more legitimate. Because why not? Why not take the calls? What's going to happen? You know what I mean? So what if you get some calls that people think are real and you're just not going to air them on the show? But I think that it comes off so genuine. That's why I'm not bored by it. It's like if you're watching TV. That's what happens when you watch a freaking news show. And how they even say, oh, it's gonna end up running late. If you're tuning in now to watch the show that was scheduled after this, sorry, but this is running late because there's been developments here. I appreciate everything that went into it and all of that stuff. It seems real, almost like WNUF Halloween Special seems legitimate to me because of the commercials and because of how it's time-stamped for the 80s and everything else. And there are some moments in there where from a movie standpoint, it's not as entertaining as it could be or maybe should be. But just the legitimacy of it is what's the turn on to me. And that's why I'm so into it, because they don't try to bullshit you by making it look like a movie. They're making it look like this is the way it would look if the BBC did this. There is going to be downtime. News shows, if you watch the news, they do tend to be repetitious. But the performances and how the guy's half a skeptic, half not. He's kind of rubbing her the wrong way. Dr. Whatever the hell her name was. But I mean, I don't know. I like the way everything, it seems so legitimate and so realistic, the way everybody played off of each other. I don't know. I just have high praise for it.
Dr. Pascoe, which is funny because
Dr. Passcode. Yeah, right.
Because I think I forgot which actress it was. It might have been Judi Dench. But it was some well-known actress who was watching this at the time and saw Dr. Pascoe's character, who's not a real person, who's an actress playing Dr. Pascoe, and knew her as an actress, and actually called her and said, "You ruined this for me because I saw you in there and I thought it was real," which I thought was a cool little story. But the setup for the story, it's about a haunted house on Fox Hill Drive, and we got the Early family, the mother, Pam, and her daughters, Suzanne and Kim. And, they're just being tormented in their home.
You know what this is based on, right? I'll tell you right now. I'll tell you what it's based on.
What is?
Christian, you have a guess?
I thought it had to do with a London glory hole.
London Calling. Yeah, the glory hole. Isn't that great that they call it?
Brandon brought that up earlier, and I was like, yeah. How are we not going to be talking about glory holes? They say glory hole, and it's sincere in this movie, and you're like, did they just say glory hole? I think I just heard glory hole.
I laughed like a little baby every time glory hole was said, and then when they revealed that his name was Pipes, and Pipes is living in this little dark room trying to lure kids to his glory hole, I'm like, this is fucking great. This is the funniest movie I've ever seen.
Well, check it out, man. You guys saw Conjuring 2, right?
What?
Doesn't this seem
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is based on the Enfield poltergeist story that was in London.
Oh, okay.
It's the same thing. Two girls and yeah.
2 girls
One
and 1 cup. Yeah. I was
And
gonna guess something
had
related
a
to the
drink.
Warrens. Because,
Yeah, remember they had her drink and talk in that movie
Yeah.
and Conjuring 2, and they did it here too. So this was basically Conjuring 2 before Conjuring 2 happened. It was loosely based on some of the supposed facts from the Enfield poltergeist. They put it in here once again, probably to make it more believable, because if you live in that area, you may have heard rumblings of this story about things going on. So that, I think, would make it even more believable.
Well, Dave,
Yeah,
I can't deny you. First, they were first, and there was some influentialness because it was influentialness. Whoa, it was influential because we know that a page was torn definitely for Paranormal Activity, more so than the Blair Witch. Paranormal Activity for sure, Blair Witch probably a little bit, but no doubt Paranormal Activity. There you go with Conjuring 2 that took a page from it. But first doesn't necessarily mean best, and that's the problem. Like, again, I love the fact that this faked out people. That's awesome. That's super cool. But now as I watch it as a movie, I'm like, oh, this is, as I said, the first half hour, I'm like, I can see how this is good. But then it just didn't really go anywhere. And I don't care how legitimate it felt. It was also starting to like bore me as a movie. So that's where I go with it. I don't want to take anything, like I see what you're saying from it. And that's great that you guys, that's what makes it great for you. That didn't elevate any enjoyment level for me. That just made it seem like, okay, so this was a mock thing that people took seriously back in '92. Let me go at it. Okay. And it just never went anywhere.
Yeah. I mean, some of the things were cool in the film, like the sightings of the dark figures, in the girls' room.
Yeah.
And although I don't know why, I paused it at one point. I swear one of the sightings looked like Bitch Tits Jason. I'm not even joking. I said to myself, that's Bitch Tits Jason.
That's Bitch Tits
But
Jason.
They did have that cool little twist in there, which was nice to see. Where what?
No, you're right.
He agreed with you. It's see?
I said, see, but just like Conjuring 2, they did the same thing. Remember when they had the little switcheroo and the girl was faking it? And
I enjoyed that, and I thought that was really well done. I thought the haunting voices and screaming cats was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Maybe the piss stain on the carpet they could have left out, I guess.
But how was that done? See, that's my only issue with the film, is that when that happens and they say, oh, well, obviously this girl's faking, we saw it there. At no time did anyone go, well, how the fuck did she do that thing with that perfect circle of whatever, of liquid in the middle of the floor? You can't do that. They even said, this is like a perfect circle. There's nothing on the out. There's no leak. You know what I mean? That would alone, if I'm in real life seeing this, I'm like, well, wait a minute. What do you say?
Yeah.
Good band.
Yeah, perfect circle. So my cat meowed right when you guys were
Yeah.
talking about the fucking meowing. So it started scaring the shit out of me.
Meowing.
At the end, meow, 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 at the end.
Yeah, and then it was revealed this was actually an ad for Meow Mix.
Yeah.
That was the big twist at the end.
There's a big commercial.
I want chicken. I want liver.
Meow, 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 meow. Do my cat...
Imagine that was that would have been fucking 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
10 out of 10 for commercial.
We need to do a spoof on this.
Oh, man.
Dave, maybe you could explain some of like the reveals. Pipes turns out to be this Raymond Tunstall character.
Maybe. I mean, they go deep, and then one person says it's this, and they say it's that. There's different things, but I don't remember the name.
That's where I got confused, because they said like the Raymond Tunstall whose bedroom was that secret door underneath, I think, the house, and then they said he was tortured by this Mother Satan's, the baby farmer from the 19th century, who I read was based on Amelia Dyer, who was a real life, serial killer, killed like 400 children. But, I mean, reading about it was more interesting than watching it. I just, I don't know what it was. The pacing of it was just, even though I totally appreciate everything you're saying, I just was like, I'm not into this. I'm just not liking it. And then, shit hits the fan in the last 5-10 minutes, and,
That's a little fake. I think that got a little overboard. That's why if I'm a kid and I'm watching that, that's why it wouldn't fool me. Everything up until that part, I wish if they would have played it a little, if they would have pulled back the reins just a little bit at the end there, it would have been more believable.
You're absolutely right, because even though it does go overboard, and that's where you're like, oh, okay, I'm awake and I'm watching this, then that, first of all, Dr. Pascoe's reveal, oh my God, this was all a seance to get pipes into the power, into the grid, and it just became like, you know,
exposition.
like a science
Yes.
fiction film. Yeah, and then
It's a
of course,
mess, man.
you know, the last scene with what's his name, Michael Parkinson.
Yeah.
You know,
Sorry, I don't know what that made me laugh. It's horrible.
apparently it's Parkinson.
It's-
He had a case of them bad legs.
Bad legs. But I like the characters. I like the
Twitchy.
skeptic guy in New York. When I don't know, and I like the one guy that was goofing off. That he had the Bears jacket on, that starter jacket. He didn't take any of it seriously.
Yeah.
It all seems believable to me, and I guess that's the strength. Again, I keep repeating myself. This is the fourth time I saw it, and something about this, I'm probably not going to watch it again because of what you guys said. I've seen it, and not that I don't like it.
No, I don't want to ruin it for you.
No. I do quite like it, but this time watching it, my daughter's been on the found footage kick with me. I wanted her to see it, and when it ended, she goes, you know, I really like that. She goes, until the end, she kind of had the same feeling as me about the end, but she goes, you know, I really like that movie, and she doesn't a lot of times speak up. She didn't say shit when Sleepaway Camp was over. She just said, oh, that was weird. You know what I mean? But I've been having
next dick or anything like that. Like it was just a silence.
Oh,
Daddy, that's
ball.
bigger than yours. The sorry, horrible jokes. First
I'm
act.
not even gonna touch
The
that.
first well, that's a first. The first act. The first act is my favorite in this movie. If I say first act one more time, slap me with a dead fish. But that was my favorite part of this movie.
Angel Dick.
By far. It was the setup. And then I think it just was too much rinse and repeat for the second act, that by the time the third act rolled around, maybe if this was just an hour, I would have been like, perfect, done.
I think it would have been better suited if it was shorter. I'll agree with you.
So, and I think that's it. Like, I do not want to make it seem like this failed, but I think that it's the marketing behind it, the genius behind it, that's actually better than the product itself. But
Yeah.
and which is okay. But that first act is great, and they did the best. They set it up beautifully.
What's the saying with the sum of its parts?
The sum of the parts
the whole
is-
yeah.
The glory hole. Pipes' glory hole is better than the sum of his parts.
I think that's exactly it.
Oh, man.
If it isn't,
hope
that's
the
what
guy-
it is moving forward.
I hope the guy who commented about how much we crack ourselves up is listening to this, because that's all we're doing is cracking ourselves up.
Well,
Should be.
what else we have? We should probably rate this, huh? What else
Yeah.
can we say?
Oh, can I just ask one more question for you, Dave? Because I was wondering about this. What happened to Suzanne at the end in all the chaos?
I know she shit her pants and ran off, I guess.
Yeah, because you don't see her. You see the other daughter, Kim, and the mother run out, and obviously, everyone else. What happens to them? And,
Yeah, see, that's what I like. When they went to that thing and they came back, that looked legitimate. You're like, okay, we're going back. What happened? Where is everybody? And then I'll go one step further. They went into the infrared at the end. And that
Yeah.
became a trope in the freaking mid-2000s. When everyone has the freaking infrared and the, you know what I'm talking about? The night
Yep.
vision on their cameras. Another
Yeah.
movie that did it first.
Yeah, but they
Man.
didn't really go full hog with that either. There should have been
No,
a better
but
payoff
still.
with it. Yeah, full hog. I know. There's all.
Instead of whole hog. Right.
appreciate the full hug.
It's the year of the pig. It's okay. Oh.
full
But no,
hog.
dude, I don't know where she went.
That was just interesting. I was just curious if.
She took off because she's a believer. If you're a believer and you see some shit, you get out of there, no? Yeah, I don't know, but it is a good question. I don't know the answer, but you guys definitely talked me down a little bit for the first time.
Because you were actually talking me up in terms of overall rating. Because if I was rating this on an enjoyment factor, I would be super low. But I have to give it its props for the things you say, for being an original, one of its kind, and doing all these things before it became overly saturated and overly cliched later on.
Yeah. Even Insidious, I think, lifted from this. Didn't they say he was dressed as a woman or something, and he was a serial killer that killed
Yes.
kids? Again, there you go. Insidious 2, they put that in there. Insidious 2, I should say. But what I'm telling you, James Wan definitely saw this film. There's no way everything's not a coincidence.
I feel like I might have come in a little bit lower, but based on the fact of that first act, and I guess even though I said I was going to separate the marketing out of it, I'll include it. I'll give it a 6 out of 10.
Spot on. That's including, all the positives that you pointed out, Dave, and we agreed with. 6 out of 10 for me.
Whew, wow. Okay. Well, you guys know I'm high on it. It was on my challenge list. I watched it last year and I discussed it on this show actually, and I gave it a 9 out of 10 last year. So I've always been pretty high on it. But you guys pointed a few things out that I didn't necessarily, I don't know, didn't hit me. But oh shit! I'm gonna come down a little bit. I'm gonna see 8.5 now. I'm gonna come down from that.
He's coming down. He's almost on the level of the glory hole now.
Dave, is that you?
Yeah. No, it's Nicky 9-inch in the glory hole.
Pipes, yeah.
So who actually gave us that again? Was it, you said Rob? Because I did want to see it, and I hadn't seen it before. So first time watch.
Yeah, same here. And it's interesting. I would like to know if he saw it originally back. Did you say he saw it in '92?
What?
Or he didn't? When he recommended the movie, for us to review, did he write that he saw it in '92 and it scared him? Is that what you said?
I don't remember now. Shit.
No, I think that was the other podcaster.
Oh yeah, the Duncan or not Duncan.
Right. Yeah, I believe Duncan saw it in '92.
It's either Duncan or it might be someone.
If it's not Duncan, it's another podcaster from
out there.
the UK. Yeah. That's all I know. So who did this come from? Ghostwatch from Rob H.
Rob H. Yeah. So I wonder if Rob H. saw this in '92, because I honestly think like if you had seen it at the time, it definitely the first 2 acts would have been super effective and probably scared you if you were. I mean, I was 12 back then. That it definitely would have frightened me, and then maybe the last act would have been like, okay, this is fake. But I would have had more nostalgia. Would have had fake news. I definitely would have had more nostalgia for it then.
Man, I'm trying to find our boy Rob H. online. Where is he from? I'm trying to see where he's from, because if he's not from, he's got to be from the UK. Otherwise, he didn't see it. He's from Belgium. Places he lived, Belgium. Yeah, so I guess it's possible.
Same as Van Damme.
There you go. How about this? Look at his description. Speak of the devil. If you go to Rob Hankins on Facebook, it says, "This is Rob. Rob has bitch tits." Speaking of BTJ,
bitch tits, Rob.
Yes, Rob. I think he left us. I think he joined. What do you call it? I better not say anything. I could be wrong.
Oh yeah, if this is true, lay off the fucking waffles, man.
Oh yeah, this is the guy that we talked about last show. He picked sides in the Patreon wars, and he canceled his support for us. And went to what do you call it? 22 shots. So
that's the same guy.
Rob H. It's got to be. Unless there's 2 Rob H's and I'm wrong, and if there is, I apologize.
That's fine.
It could be the other Rob H.
Yeah, you never know. Hey, I don't know.
The one we respect. Anyway, let's move on. We got some Bava to discuss.
Bava.
All yes,
right,
next
up.
Is gonna be interesting.
Lisa and the Devil. Written and directed by Mario Bava. Also written by Alfredo Leon. A tourist spends a night in a derelict Spanish villa, seemingly held in the supernatural grip of an eccentric butler who resembles, a depiction of the devil she had seen on an ancient fresco. All right, yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, too bad it went nowhere with that whole devil thing. Unless I missed something, because by the time I got to the 3rd act, and you guys have heard this from me before, sometimes I check out and I can't come back. And the way this movie began was brilliant. When first of all, the first thing you see is Telly Savalas. I didn't even know he was in it. I'm like, oh, Telly Savalas, that's cool, And then the credit sequence, which was great. He's the devil. He's holding these cards and playing cards, and there's the people in the movies. I'm like, this guy's gonna be controlling the whole show. He's the devil. I like where this is gonna be going. And then ultimately, Telly Savalas playing the devil, he becomes I don't want to say insignificant. He doesn't seem like he's the big bad to me anymore, and the movie loses focus. It starts off great. The girl goes, she sees the painting, and it looks like him. It looks like Telly Savalas. Okay, and then she sees him later. Okay, well that's the devil. You know what I mean? But then it's like you make a point to come out with this movie and to have him the star and the credit sequence and the first 5 minutes all being about him and carrying the mannequin and all that stuff. And then it's like the end. By the time you get to the end, it's like the juice isn't worth the squeeze. It's like
wow,
you have
that's awesome.
You know what I mean though? You have Telly Savalas. He's being marketed as this big bad and all this stuff. You have a known actor, a guy that can bring it, and has a great beginning to this film where it's focusing on him, and then it's like, no, some other guy becomes the.
Am I wrong in thinking? Sorry, Brandon, you shoot your load.
I was gonna say he is the big bad, and it's sort of it can be confusing, and I'll admit I asked people about their interpretations of this film because I was a little confused. But Telly Savalas is the devil; he is the big bad throughout this film, and what's presented to you is basically a puppet show, if you will, a repeated puppet show that he's playing with these dead souls.
Okay, that's what I wanted to ask. I got it. Well, I took it as more like Alice in Wonderland style or something like that. Or like, Wizard of Oz style. Like it felt like she went into this fantasy. So you're saying that she dies? She's dead at the beginning? Because those kids at the end say, oh, that's her. She doesn't realize she's dead. Like a Bruce Willis type thing.
Yeah, she doesn't realize she's been dead for 100 years because she was a reincarnation of this Elena character.
Okay. That's where
it
was. I was like, I missed something, but it's funny that you say that, Dave, because I actually liked the last act the most. But I just felt like again it was a slow burn to get there.
Oh, dude! By the time it got,
it's so beautiful though.
No, it is.
I checked out.
She's gorgeous. The film's gorgeous. Yeah. It looks beautiful. When that guy gets mowed over by that car, not once, not twice, not even thrice. I think there was 4 or 5 times. I was like, this is brutal. It was so well done. And there's some great moments. But it went above my head. And again, first time watch. I to rate it now, it would be my rating at the end is going to be a little unfair because I feel like I need to see it again.
Dude, I totally agree. This is a second time watch for me, and it might as well have been a first time watch because I was watching it this time and I'm like, I'm still confused. I'm still not sure what's going on, but I'm liking what I'm seeing. I'm confused, but it's like drawing me in. It's so nightmarish, and she's like you said, it's like Alice in Wonderland. She's drawn into this surreal nightmare that she can't get out of, and she meets all these strange people, and you have no idea what's really going on. Why can't she get back to the main square? Yeah. And it just jumps right into it, and the scenes with Telly Savalas with carrying the Manicarino around and him turning real and turning fake back and forth is terrifying.
It's so many times. They killed that guy off and brought him back 3-4 times. It was the same gang over and over.
There's a little bit of comedic value to that too, though. Like when he breaks his legs into the
that was the best part in the casket.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I was laughing. That's the whole point. That's where it kind of makes more sense. Is Leandro, who's playing the butler at this point, who's also the devil, is controlling and manipulating all this. So it's almost like the devil's creation. It's this whole nightmare. He can bring I forgot who Carlos. Yeah, Carlos. Back to life. He's carrying him at the beginning. It's a mannequin. Even when she stops and she looks at the mannequin, you could tell Telly Savalas is holding the actor.
Oh yeah.
And it's like terrifying because he's not moving at this point. He still looks like a mannequin, but it's him. Before he even comes back and approaches her and been like, oh Elena, and then she pushes him down the stairs. But it just turns into what can be a very confusing nightmare, but I think the more you see it or read about it or talk to other people about it and understand it, it's actually really cool.
So this is hell. It's hell, just like literally she's reliving things. It's a nightmarish vision over and over again. Like people just die, come back, and get re-killed.
Yeah.
And
the reason why what's his name becomes the big bad. Oh man, I forgot the guy's name.
The son, I don't know, but he had all the dialogue, and it was so.
Yeah, Maximilian. And the reason why he becomes the big bad is because he wants to bring someone new into this nightmare circle that he's reliving. He's constantly tortured by Elena, who's just a skeleton laughing at him, and he wants to bring someone new into it. And that's when Lisa comes along, and he brings her into the nightmare, and it appears as if she stumbled into it by accident. She doesn't belong there, and everyone else has been a part of it for 100 years. Like when it's revealed by the girls at the end, the schoolgirls, that okay, this has been playing out, over and over because the castle's in ruins and none of this is real. And even at some points, Leandro is measuring Lisa for her measurements so he could have a puppet made of her. So you almost think this is new. like this has never happened before. Like this is the first time he's meeting Lisa, and I don't interpret it that way.
He doesn't say that. He does. He says something about her coming back. He goes, now that you're back, he tells her early on in the film. You know what I thought this movie was going to be? I thought it was going to turn into. Did you ever see that episode of The Twilight Zone called The After Hours?
Oh, with the mannequins, yeah.
Correct. That's what I thought this was going to turn into. 100%. Because that kid even says it to her right after he meets her. He says something. He says, please stay. Then later on they're talking. He says, now that you're back. And then they become a couple. Again, like right away.
Well, you know what? I think you're kind of right in a sense then. Because it's almost as if, I mean, of course Leandro knows, but the way it plays out at the end, you know, you think Lisa's getting away and she's made it out of this nightmare. And then you realize that she was just a part of it the whole time. And
I appreciate that.
Yeah, and I love that, and I love the way it plays out on the plane at the end.
That's good too, absolutely.
But there is some really good stuff here. I was confused and not drawing parallels or connections to everything. Again, on first view, and it's not like we didn't have time. I didn't have time to rewatch this if I got on it. So sorry, Derek. I will have to rewatch this after the show. But for this review, I feel like I'm missing pieces. But there's brutality. There's always gore and kills in these movies that are great. This one is no exception. That guy's face peeling back too, even though that's the mannequin part.
Yeah,
that was disturbing to me.
I can
really
see
disturbing.
That. It is disturbing.
I feel like both this one and Shock were short film ideas that were expanded into feature-length movies.
This one for sure, because it went too long and I checked out. And that's just me. Again, I didn't see Telly Savalas as the big bad because he was freaking subservient to his wife or whoever that woman was, who all of a sudden we see her acting as a normal person for freaking the first act. Then all of a sudden she comes out in the one scene and she has a cane and she's blind. I'm like, what the fuck is this all about?
Yeah, what was with the blind, Brandon? Could you like that? So I was kind of confused. Why would they make like there are always these blind characters that end up seeing more than any person that can actually see. It's like their third eye or whatever it may be. But what
That's an Italian thing.
What is the significance of having her come back as blind?
You got me.
Okay.
It doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. The beginning doesn't make sense because why? Remember, she kills the freaking first Carlos she sees, and then she runs off. Then all of a sudden, she gets picked up by the couple. And they take her hitchhiking, and then they just go. There's no conversation in the car. Where are you going? Where are we dropping you off? Nothing. They're just sitting there. Then they all just get to the castle and get out. I'm like, what the fuck am I watching?
Well,
it's not that big of a deal about it.
No, it's basically this. If you take Lisa out of the equation, picture Telly Savalas and all those other characters have been dead for 100 years. Not Telly Savalas. Telly Savalas is the devil. All those other characters have been dead for 100 years, and they're reliving this nightmare over and over in a continuous loop. And then Lisa kind of stumbles into the loop. And you think Lisa's stumbling into this loop for the first time, and it's really her story about escaping it.
Yeah, but
when the big reveal at the end is actually she's been a part of it for the whole time.
Yeah, but you're asking me to watch a movie and question what the fuck, why this, and then because of the way it's revealed at the end, you're explaining to me everything that I just watched. In retrospect, now you could tell me, yes, because of a loop and because of this. But as I'm watching the movie, I'm like, I know some Italian movies are known not to make sense. So I just kind of went along with it. I'm like, well, I guess Bob was going to be like Fulci and just not make fucking sense. So I was along for the ride, but I wasn't crazy about that. And that's why I never rank any Italian movies all that high unless they're Argento, because I can usually understand what's happening. And it's the same thing. So I just accepted it as being weird Italian stuff. And now you're saying this, and that's fine. But I'm just like, why is this and why is that? And then later on, Telly Savalas, like I said, he was subservient to the girl. Then later on, he's not barely even in the second act. It's all about his son. What's his name? Max with these fucking long ass monologues about nothing over and over and over again. And then he stabs his mother and this happens and that. And I don't know what's going on. It seems like they have an idea and they keep showing mannequins. And I think it's going to lead to something grand. And maybe it does. But it gets so batshit crazy in the third act that, you know what this movie is to me? There are two other movies we've discussed since doing this podcast. And I've rated them the same, and I'm going to rate this the same because it's the same fucking thing. We Are the Flesh and Mother. That's what this movie is to me. Same type of shit. Looks good. All kinds of crazy shit going on. What the fuck did I just watch? I don't understand it. Therefore, I can appreciate it from filmmaking because technically it's all good. But from storytelling, nothing for me.
Like
That's
told
the
an
problem.
allegory, but I can't make the connections to what.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not going to shit on it. A lot of people watch a movie, and the first thing they say is when the movie ends, they didn't get it. Oh, that's just what's the word they all like to use?
Pretentious.
About pretentious. There you go. They'll immediately say it's pretentious because they didn't get it. I'm not going to say it's pretentious because you guys got it. I didn't get it. Or
I didn't get it. I didn't get it
No,
either. Look, like I said, I read about it. I asked
Dumb was a
Moods
stumble for her.
about his interpretation. I'm the first to admit I don't get stuff. The first time I saw this and even watching it this time, I was confused. And then I looked into it because I enjoyed what I was seeing, despite the fact that I was really kind of lost. Like, what's going on? What does this all mean? But I liked what I saw, whereas you were kind of getting frustrated by it or annoyed or bored.
I was waiting for Telly Savalas to take control. Max became the guy with the most screen time, and I didn't fucking like him. He was boring to me. It was the same monologues. It did nothing. So because of him and taking over the second act and all this shit that I really didn't care, I felt like I got the point by halfway through. But then I checked out because it was too repetitious. Then it got to the third act and it was like nonsensical. It was like the second half of Mother, where all this stuff is happening to happen. And later on, everyone says, oh, well, this is the Bible, and this means this, and that means that. I'm like, great. That doesn't make it great for me. And don't mean to pick on anything. That's just my personal opinion. That's how I felt. Sometimes I check out of a movie, and when I check out, it doesn't happen much. I can't come back. And that's what happened here. I couldn't come back. So
yeah, well, what it turns out is that Max's character was in love with Elena, but Elena was having an affair with Carlos, who was Max's mother's husband. Does that make sense so far?
Kind of.
Yeah.
Elena, Max was in love with Elena.
Who is Elena?
Elena is Lisa, but the skeleton version that's laughing in his bed.
So is Max a living person or not?
No, Max is dead. Max is part of this nightmarish loop. So is Elena's skeleton. So is the mother. So is Carlos.
Let me rewind. Let me interrupt. So Max was in love with her when they were both alive before they died?
Yes, Max was in love with Elena. Elena, unfaithful to Max, cheats on Max with Carlos, who turns out to be the husband of Max's mother.
So what does the couple have to do with this? The rich guy and his girlfriend who's cheating with the fucking guy who's driving the chauffeur.
Yeah.
What does that have to do with fucking anything? And are they part of the loop? Because obviously they would have to be there, and they picked her up and didn't say a word to her. So they're real people, or are they? Now you're saying that everybody was dead. So that's what I'm saying. By trying to explain it, I think I'm getting more confused.
No, I mean,
I don't mean to
shit on it. No, because they have their same issues as well. I mean, a lot of unfaithfulness and
right. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Who knows what's going on beyond that? But yeah, I can get the confusion there. But why are they a part of that loop? Maybe it's to bring Lisa into it, I guess.
Okay, maybe Derek can explain it better. Maybe Derek is listening, saying, "Oh man, it's because of you guys," or you know what I mean? Because he's very familiar with it. Maybe he loves the film, and he's But then again, Derek's a cool cat, so I don't think he'd be frustrated that I don't get it. He's probably laughing at me if anything, saying, "Oh, Dave's a fucking idiot."
Most definitely.
Whatever.
Most definitely.
Hey, it's like me talking Suspiria with somebody, the new one or the remake. When people question it, I'm like, it's really simple. I don't know why you don't get it, and I got it on my first view. So different strokes for different folks, or some things speak to you and you get it, and some things don't, and that's simply what happened to me, and definitely Christian here.
Yeah. Oh no, I was
to a degree, but Brandon seems to be very, he can explain it all the way at this point.
And
not all of it.
It frustrated me too, because it does hinder your enjoyment then, and you don't want to shit on the movie because of it. So I'm trying not to. But it was definitely the most painful to get through for me. But not like, again, from a cinematic standpoint, from a visual standpoint. No, it was beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah, there was one shot in particular, and I wrote it down. I don't know why, it just really struck me, and it's like a shot that's seen through the reflection in a cigarette case very early on, which I don't know. I just love that shot for some reason. It's just really cool.
He does a lot of things with archways and arches and people walking through them, and that is very meaningful in these films. Like German Expressionist films used it a lot, and it was, in this time, that shit meant stuff. but I couldn't draw these I couldn't draw anything from it. I was lost. So I mean, my rating's going to reflect that, but it's not that I didn't like the movie. I just was lost, and so I will try to give it another chance at some point. But I got to admit, I'm not rushing back to want to see it because it was not the most welcoming experience. Like, I mean, I don't know how else to say it. Because it confused me, I'm like, I'll have to separate myself from it for a bit before going back to revisit it.
Yeah, well, how about this, Dave, for an explanation of the couple? I mean, they arrive at this place, you know, their car breaks down. So maybe that happened that night, and they became a part of this story in which the night where Max murders Carlos and imprisons Elena, and this nightmare takes place, and, you know, the wife of the rich guy is sleeping with the husband, and, you know, they're just not good people, so they become victims as well because the mother kills the wife, Max kills the driver, the wife kills the husband. So they're not good people.
Right.
So they just happen to stumble upon it, and it all just kind of plays out in one big scenario that one night, you know, however many years ago, and then Telly Savalas forces them to relive this one particular night.
That's fine. That's as good as any explanation that someone's going to give me. So I mean, it's believable. Why did they bring? I have one last question, then I'm going to be done. Why did they bring George into the house after he died? Remember they find George, the chauffeur, out in the car?
Chauffeur, yeah.
Yeah, isn't that weird? Why would they bring him in the house? Who the fuck are they? They're not doctors. And the guy's dead. They're going to bring him into the house, all these people?
Yeah,
Let's bring a dead guy in.
Yeah.
We want to get help, but let's do this instead.
It was almost, it was like that. All of a sudden, they were a funeral parlor. Like, we'll bring him in, we'll prepare him, and we'll bury him. Yeah.
Right. And I'm wrong. I never saw Telly Savalas take lead. He's first billed. It's like his show at the beginning with the credits in the first 5-10 minutes.
Yeah.
And then it seems like that Max guy takes over as the big bad. He does all the talking. He does everything.
Yeah.
And it's almost like Telly Savalas is supposed to be the devil, but he's almost like an afterthought. I understand there's a reveal at the end, according to what you're saying. I can respect that, but it just seems like I was swerved. I don't know.
Think of him as the devil, like he's the puppet master. He's pulling the strings from behind the scenes. You know, the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist, type of thing.
Right.
And the more I think about it, even though I'll be 100% honest, I was just as confused. The more I think about it, the more I read about it, the more I sit on it. And this was the same way with a 2019 film I just saw. Why am I being cryptic? Us. I just recently saw Us in the theaters, and I have to see it again, and I have to see it again after that. But for the first time, I didn't get everything, but the more I sit and think about the film, the more I like it, and the more I want to see it again. And that's the same thing I'm having with this film.
See, that's the difference with me, B. I'm not in a rush to go see this again, just like Mother. I'm not in a rush to go back and see Mother again.
Oh, I'm never in a rush to see Mother. I'm never in a rush to see Mother again.
That's fair. See, but Us, I'm looking forward to watching again.
Yeah.
So that says something to me. If both movies had some confusing elements, and I know I want to peel back the layers more, but there's one that I'm rushing back to see, and the other ones I'm like, well, I'll get to it someday maybe.
Yeah.
It says something. But I don't know. We'll see how we rate it.
And that's just a personal preference. It is what it is. Like, I agree with you with both your examples of Mother and We Are the Flesh. I'd be more inclined to go back to We Are the Flesh, but
for the penis.
I have no. Yes, especially for the cock and balls, but I have no desire to ever revisit Mother.
Really, I can't. I don't want to. I'm actually looking forward to watching Mother again, knowing now what I know, and maybe I'll appreciate it. I don't know. No one ever explained We Are the Flesh to me, so I'm going by nothing. Mother, I understand more. Is it going to bring up my rating? I don't know, but second view is what it's all about. So who knows? This I will watch again. I just don't know when.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. You just said it way more concise to the point. I honestly, like Brandon. Sorry, are you done? Because you seem like you have a lot more.
No.
I don't want to. I don't want to keep you from it. It just
he missed us. He missed reviewing. He wants to.
I did. No, it's fun. I'm enjoying this, but this was one I was looking forward to diving into, especially after all that. But no, I'll leave it at that. I think. It's a high recommend for me. It's one of my personal favorite Pavas that I've seen so far. I would give it right now about an 8.5.
Oh, wow. Okay, cool. I'm at a 7, and I'm giving it a 7 because I'm giving it for the visuals and the fact that, like, like I said, it looks great, but I didn't totally understand it. So I think that's as fair of a rating as I can give it right now.
That's fine. I'll tell you what. It's like I said earlier. Some people watch a movie and they hate it, like The Witch or Hereditary or Black Coach Daughter or something. They say, "Oh no, that's pretentious. It's a piece of shit. I'll give it a 2 out of 10." You know what I mean? I think that's very unfair to do, and I would never do that. So when I have a situation where I don't get it, but I can appreciate the aesthetics and everything else, I'll give this the same rating I gave Mother, and the same rating that I gave We Are the Flesh, 5 out of 10. I'm not shitting on it. That's all I can do. Sorry, Derek. I wish I enjoyed it more than I did. I just went over my head.
Yours is your example and your explanation, again, better than mine. And it's just, I just rated it differently because, from a filmmaking standpoint, I could appreciate this film. I just didn't get all the themes and the connections within, which is fine.
Yeah, storytelling didn't work for me, but the aesthetics did, and that's all I can do. So,
all right. Next up, Dracula, Dead and Loving It. No, I'm just kidding. Dracula, Prince of Darkness from 1966, directed by Terence Fisher. Dracula is resurrected, preying on 4 unsuspecting visitors to his castle.
Well, I'm really interested. I'm glad this was one of the options. I'm really interested in hearing what you guys have to say. Brayden already tickled me with a feather a little bit, and just behind the balls a bit. And I was pleasantly surprised. I was very happy I guess what I want to say with what he was saying already. So, Dave, what was your initial thought?
My initial thought?
Yeah.
Well, this came from Robert Patterson, by the way, so thank you.
Thanks, Bobby.
I did enjoy it.
From
we had
Twilight?
a lot of. Yes, from Twilight. It's you. It's your brother. Yes.
My brother.
He gave a lot of choices for Hammer movies, and
holy shit, that was great too. Yeah.
Yeah, and Christian picked this one, which I got to say he knocked it out of the park. I mean, I don't think I'd seen any on the list, so it was a cool list to see, and I'll get to all of them. But
because I was a little worried because it was, although this is the third in the Dracula movies, it's really a direct sequel to Dracula or the Horror of Dracula, the first Christopher Lee one. And so you don't have to see the one in the middle. And I loved, these are the ones that they showed when I was a kid, at a young age, but not too young. And these ones didn't scare me quite as much. And I saw the Horror of Dracula, Dracula, Prince of Darkness. And there's one other one. I don't think it was the one that was, there's one other one that's less sleazy than Taste the Blood of Dracula or The Scars of Dracula. One of those. There's 3 of them in a row I watched. And I'll always remember those ones. This is a fun movie. I was telling Brandon really quickly, it's kind of like a Friday the 13th sequel. It's really simple. It's a very simple premise. It's very simple. Introduce 4 new characters, and they end up at Dracula's castle, and half the movie goes by before Dracula gets resurrected.
That's true.
Yeah, it does. And like you said, because I never seen the original, but you said it has that recap right at the beginning, and it was concise and perfect. Van Helsing kills Dracula, and then we're set up for this story where we have Clove, Dracula's
helper,
housekeeper and helper, and kind of luring these 4 to the castle to help resurrect his master.
He's like a daywalker.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great. It's great because, you get that camera production value, and you get really good performances. Again, I don't think a lot of these were known actors. Correct me if I'm wrong. They may have been in other films, but I don't think they're huge. But they're great in this.
Well, like I butchered before when I was talking about Barbara Shelley, who played the other sister that Dave was talking
Helen?
about, who played Helen. Yeah, she is considered the first leading lady of British horror. That's what I was trying to say.
Oh, so she's big. So
she's very big. She did a lot of. She's I guess you would say like almost like a scream queen.
Want to know what's funny? Since you're calling her a scream queen, she didn't do her own screaming in the film, and as a matter of fact, Diana did it for her.
Yeah.
The other
That's
girl,
hilarious.
I didn't know, but you could tell when she screamed. I was like, that doesn't look like it's her doing it, but I didn't know it was the other
Diana
one.
did it. Who? Oh man, what a pretty girl that is. She was.
Both were gorgeous, especially when they let the hair down in these movies. They're just gorgeous, and they just had the vampire women, the vampiress. They have I don't know if that's what, but they have like the gowns, the white gowns, and the fangs.
Mm-hmm.
The Christopher Lee as Dracula doesn't have one line of dialogue in this movie.
That's my complaint. Is this usual? And now remember, the only Hammer movies I've seen are the ones we had they've been given to us on the show. So this is either my fourth or my fifth. I'm not sure because we've Patreon some other ones now.
Yeah.
So obviously I didn't see the other Hammer Dracula movies. You have. Does he talk in them and not in here?
Talks in the first one now. It's been such a long time now that I've got to go back and revisit. But I'm pretty sure he talks in the other ones too, because Peter Cushing does come back down the line, whether it's the next one or two later. But he does come back. I don't know if there was a bit of a falling out or whatever, but there's something behind there that's of interest as well from a historic standpoint. But I don't know, and it's weird because. The only thing I found weird about that is that his movements are a little awkward when he could have jumped down from that second level because he's Dracula. But instead he's like, and he goes like, I'm going to run down these stairs. And he runs down the stairs towards him. I'm like, and he pulls the girl away. He's like, That just seems a little out of character for the Dracula that we think we know. It's almost like you'd figure that you just jump right down and be more menacing.
Right.
Did it harm the movie? Absolutely not.
You know why he didn't jump
funny?
down?
Why?
He didn't want to get a case of them bad legs.
Should have known it was coming. As soon as you said a case, I started laughing already. What about the coach
How
driver?
do you not have him talk?
Well,
no, seriously, it's Christopher Lee. The guy has a golden voice. That's like having Vincent Price in your movie and not having him talk.
I'm in shock that, like, as you're saying it, I'm like, oh yeah, he didn't speak, but yeah,
That's my big note. You didn't
yeah,
realize that? Oh, I was waiting for him to talk.
You know what it was?
I want to see this. Everyone blows him as Dracula, and I haven't seen it. Then I've heard so many people put him on a pedestal, say I think he's better than Lugosi, this and that. But so I'm like, okay, that's the selling point to this film going into it for me, a novice in Hammer and in Christopher Lee in this role. So I'm like, okay, I can't wait to see it. And he didn't talk.
Well, you got to see the first one then.
I know it's not going to affect my rating because I still rated well. I just,
you know what it is for me. For me, is probably the reason why it didn't bother me is because of the strength of all the other characters.
Check this out.
Father Shandor is a great character, just as a just a big protagonist with a I mean he's a what is he? He's a priest. Is he a priest or a father or a minister?
That guy,
I don't know.
Yeah, they call him Father. They do call him Father.
Father, okay, yeah, Father Shandor. What? I'm a fucking idiot. But he's menacing in a way, and he's cool, and I don't know. He took like the lead almost at certain points, and you knew he was gonna come back at the end. And I like the scene with him just standing in the fire in the at the bar, just literally with his pulling his fucking robe up and just letting smoke get blown up his ass.
So guys,
I literally wrote blowing smoke up his ass.
Well, he goes for somebody he just meets, he's all over him. Like it's hilarious. Because I half listened because I got the research and the answer to why Christopher Lee doesn't talk in the movie.
he had a cold, laryngitis.
No. So this is his quote. This was the only Dracula film in which I didn't say a word. I make sounds, but I don't speak. There was a great deal of dialogue originally, but it was so bad that I refused to deliver it.
Wow. What?
Yeah.
Wow. Props on you, Mr. Lee. Okay.
At one point, Dracula is supposed to declare, I am the apocalypse. I finally just decided, let's not have him speak at all if this is the best you could do.
I am the apocalypse.
Wow, too bad Christopher Lee wasn't freaking Telly Savalas or Max from Lisa and the Devil. Shit.
That's hilarious. Well, because it is obvious, but you don't realize it. So obviously, this must be the only one that he doesn't speak in, and which kind of goes by memory. But like, it threw me for a loop because I know he talks in the first one, but I just wasn't sure if that was a trait. But
yeah, because
anyway, sorry, Brandon, because I know we were talking about Father blow smoke up your ass.
But that's his gimmick. Dracula is a smooth mofo. He's supposed to come in there and talk to you and say stuff and talk the pants off you, so to speak. That's his gimmick. He's smooth. You know what I mean? So you want to see him talk, and I'm like, what? And it's Christopher Lee, so I was excited about that, and at least that's for a good reason. If you're gonna sound like an idiot.
Yeah. So he talked with his eyes, Dave. He seduced with his eyes, which is another thing Dracula does.
But it took him down to a biting thing.
Yeah.
And this is what I realized about movies watching this. I am not into the antagonists. And think about how many are biters. It occurred to me for the first time now. No, think about this. Werewolves bite. Vampires bite. Zombies bite. Everybody bites. I figured out that I like weapons and I like supernatural devilish things over biting antagonists.
All
It
right,
just it
bite.
occurred to me. Yeah.
Horrible. Did you hear though that because of the legal battles with the new Friday the 13th, Victor Miller has to make Jason a biter?
I'm not watching it.
They have to carve out a big bite hole in his mask.
It brings new meaning.
You can't wear it. Yeah.
No, but I love the setup with
Jason.
I love the setup with Father Shandor, with him kind of hating these locals because they're still all superstitious about the vampire craze that was 10 years in the past when the original film was released. So they're trying to like dispose of every dead body in the way they would a vampire, and he stops them from staking the dead girl, at the beginning.
Yep.
Yeah. And then, of course, he warns them not to go to Carlsbad. I didn't know this took place in California.
Carlsbad Light? All right. People here say it's one good beer.
But really, we get introduced to these people, and they accidentally end up at Dracula's castle because they get into a haunted coach.
It was either that or Jason's shack. They had to choose. They chose comfort.
Yeah.
That was it.
There's no way you're gonna have your ladies stay in that shack. The guys were totally cool with it. They're like, no, we're not staying in there. We want the castle.
Check it out though. Well, yeah, but Helen was smart. Helen was smart the whole movie until the end. Then she was easy as fuck. She was sitting there. Let's not do this. Let's not go there.
Yeah.
This is not a good idea. She was right on every single step of the way. And then at the very end, she just sees Dracula and she just goes, oh, and just falls into his arms. Just no fight at all.
That's because he's the apocalypse.
He's got the power. Yeah, he's the apocalypse. He's got the power over her. But she's cautious the whole time. Even when Clove comes to get her, she's scared, but she's like, come, your husband. And he's just, I guess you would go.
Let me open my apocalypse. Sorry.
That's like a line from like a bad Hellraiser sequel. I could see like him in like part 6.
The driverless carriage, though, is really cool because it shows up out of nowhere, and it's like, okay, of course, like, I'd be like, this is weird. I'm not getting in here. But at the same time, they're like, they're stuck between a rock and a hard place. So they're like, all right, we'll just take it because we're almost to where we're going. We're going climbing, and I forgot where they're going, but they have to travel through Carlsbad. And, Charles takes the reins, and he's like, okay, we're just going to go. And then
Literally.
all of a sudden, it takes, yeah. And, he has no control over him, and I thought that scene was really cool.
I thought it was great too. The coach guy that got rid of him, he sounded like Dr. Loomis.
Yeah,
like,
the evil is gone.
Get that woman out now! Get him out!
Oh, that.
He sounded like Turkish Loomis.
Nice. How about the gift horse? Finally, that line was used right in life, or in a movie, or anything. The guy literally said, and it fit the situation perfectly. Don't look a gift horse in the mouth. They were gift horses.
Yeah.
It was perfect. You didn't look them in the mouth. They took advantage of them. Yeah, man.
And that was great. And that was a great way to get them to the castle. But doesn't it turn from day to night, like in a blink of an eye in this movie? Like it happens, like they wake up the next morning, can't find anybody, go back to the shack, and then we go back to the castle. I'd figured it's like maybe 11 a.m. All of a sudden they're at the castle, and then you see the light just dim down again to darkness.
That happens at the end of the movie when they're like, we got to get going. We have a day's ride ahead of us. And 4 minutes later, they're at the castle, and it's like shifted from like night to day.
But you forgive it because it's so there's a charm again to these movies. I think we said that last year when we did the 3 Hammer films, and it's here. You forgive it. But I will say that the script was a lot more simplistic than I remember it. At no fault. But when you talk about Friday the 13th sequels or whatever, there's nothing different here. It's set up in a very simple way to get them back to the castle to reintroduce Dracula. And what a resurrection scene. Because tell me, Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th didn't borrow a page out of that. Or like Hostel 2 for that matter. But I'm talking about slit neck, drained right into the coffin or the open coffin, and then he brings them back to... That was amazing.
That was a really cool scene.
Yes,
that was a really cool scene. Yes,
and it made me think of Freddy. Like when the dog pissed
And
on
you
him?
know what? The characters were
Yeah.
smart. The characters were smart after that. You know, Charles and Diana, because
Yep.
he immediately the next morning when they can't find, he's suspicious. He's suspicious, so he takes her back to the Jason's shack, and immediately he's like, "You stay here. I'm gonna go back and investigate. Something's up." But
Wants to protect the women.
Makes a
It's
smart
great.
choices,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden, Clove shows up and takes her right back, and it's like Clove, how did you do that?
Some good gore, and when he knocks that guy or stabs that guy in the back, and then cranks or wraps the chains around and cranks him up, you're like, they're not going to slit his throat, are they? They're not going to show this because it's an old movie. You're like, I'm hoping they will, but I don't think they're going to. And not only that, but his jacket falls down, and you can see the stab wound in his back. Like
Yes, you
attention to
can.
detail here. I thought that was great, and then they slit the guy's fucking neck.
The only thing you can't see is
was
when
good.
they're showing him hanging upside down. You can't see the neck dripping.
Yeah,
When
I
they
think-
show into the coffin, you see the neck drip. You see the dripping, but that's fine. Like that's so nitpicky at this
You
point.
saw it spray across into frame, so you hear the slit, you see the slit or the motion of
stab
the
wound,
slit,
yeah.
you hear it, and then you see the blood drain down. But you're right, they keep the sound effect, but they can't physically show it. And that was obviously a censorship thing of not being able to show the actual body with dripping blood in the same shot.
Yeah.
Oh,
Because obviously, I said the exact same thing, Brandon. Like they just show the blood flow out, and then they cut to the longer shot where you see him hanging, dangling above, but there's no blood actually dripping out there, but you hear the sound effect.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which
I'll
is
tell you,
just
I
as
think it was.
unsettling. Sorry.
No, I think it was a better resurrection than Freddy. I think it was a great resurrection. I'm with you. It's freaking. I wish they would do that nowadays. It was simplistic, and yet it was perfect. The way I'm sitting there staring at it, watching the transition, and waiting to see, a flaw, and it's done masterfully.
And very slow too.
Yes.
It was like at one point I'm like, come on already, but it was like I was enjoying it, but
I loved it.
Yeah, it was great. It was like
His hand
it was
comes out.
it was uncomfortably long at one point. But,
There's sometimes you see
in a
shots.
good way.
Sometimes you see shots in old movies that you understand the beauty of old filmmaking.
Yeah.
And that's one of them. Then there's other things that throw you off, like two people instantly falling in love, those stupid freaking cliches that you get, which is the issue. But there are scenes like that, and a lot of times in special effects, you even watch some of the Universal classics, and you see some of the things they do in the special effects department, which sounds ridiculous, but looks better than some freaking modern CG. Yeah. I mean, it's weird, but wow, things like that. I don't know. I get that feeling like I'm watching something important. I'm like, man, this is filmmaking. These are people that are getting together, doing stuff that's brand new, and doing the best they can, and it's coming out better than it has any right to come out. I mean, the work that goes into that, you have to appreciate that, just like you have to appreciate, the makeup effects artists in the 70s and 80s with what they're doing. It's just, man, I really appreciate old. I keep saying the word appreciate, but it's coming from the heart. I mean, to see things like that as a fan of the genre and of film just in general, and how we've come along and the work that goes into it, man. I don't know. I just get a feeling when I'm watching it, like I'm watching something important. And I don't know. I can see why some people obsess over Hammer movies and Universal classics. Now, me, I really do get into them, but I'm yet to watch a movie that when I walk away is like an 8.5, 9, 10 out of 10. That has not happened to me yet. I still do appreciate these movies. I just don't think they're great all around. Like, I never finished watching one and said, great movie, love it, 9 out of 10. It hasn't happened yet. But
I wonder if the Horror of Dracula, or just the original, it's called Horror of Dracula or Dracula, if that would have done it for you.
I hope it does happen.
So, but
I want it to happen.
yeah, no, I mean, this one's a perfect one, but it's definitely a great sequel. It's fun, and what was the most, what I remembered the most from my childhood is how they get rid of him. It's funny how I was like,
weird.
Well, it was ice, but it looks like concrete, for fuck's sake. But how she shoots down and breaks the ice so that I just think that's amazing. And the water kills him.
Is that new, the running water thing, or do they create that mythos for this film? Pardon me, I said the same thing. Is that old school about running water, or was it created for this film? That's my
think
question.
they talk about it in Bram's. Maybe I'm wrong.
You know where they talk about it? Night of the Demons. Water going around the castle. But aside from that.
Yeah, but I'm trying to think if there's. I don't know if it was mentioned in like the source material in Bram Stoker's Dracula per se, but I'm wondering if in like vampire lore.
Now,
I hope it is.
Or just an evil.
Would
not, then
Dracula have died if he tried to bite a girl when she got out of the shower?
True, running water.
It's running!
No, but I mean, I'll respect it if it was around since the beginning of time. But if not, it's kind of I don't want to say a cheat, but it's something that the filmmakers of this particular movie created as a new clever way to get rid of them. But I hope it's.
I don't mind it. I don't mind it either way. I do agree with you. I hope it's part of the lore. But I like when there's certain changes. Obviously, like, if this was Bela Lugosi standing there on the ice, he would have just turned into a bat and flew away.
Right.
It was really well done. I like that they brought Father Shandor back, and they talked about how Dracula has many people on the earth who are like sort of loyal to him, and you meet Ludwig, who was at the monastery basically as a prisoner for 12 years, and how he sort of invites Dracula in. And I got confused at one point because the father puts crosses in the coffins, in Helen and Dracula's coffin at the monastery so they can't get back into it. But then the next scene is they're back in their coffins. But it made sense because Ludwig shows up, so he would have removed them.
True. Yeah, it's actually funny that you said that. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, at first I was like, wait, that doesn't make sense. He just put it, and then I'm like, wait, of course, Ludwig's the one driving.
Well, I also find though when we're watching these movies, so, like on this particular one, I was watching it on my computer, and so when I move my mouse and I'm like, holy shit, there's like 5 minutes left. How are they going to wrap this up? And they wrap it up.
This is a quick moving and short film, so this one really flew by.
I like it. And there's two things I wanted to add before we wrapped it up. The great part with Dracula, when he snaps the sword, is fucking badass.
Yeah.
And when he pushes the girl away, when she thinks that he loves her or something like that, and he's just concerned about himself, and she's trying to get up on him. I'm your number one girl now. And he's like, he pushes her, get away from me, woman.
You know what? It reminds me of Half Baked. Get away from me, bitch.
Yeah.
I'm impotent. Get away from me, bitch.
Well, Dave Chappelle was supposed to be in this movie.
That's literally the way he pushes her, though, and the way she's like, "Oh, I love you. I'm impotent. Get away from me, bitch."
I thought when you said a Hammer film, I thought you meant MC Hammer. Sorry. We're going back to that.
Nice. MC Hammer was in, what do you call it? In Ghostwatch, by the way. I liked that. It was on the wall.
Yeah, he was on the wall.
1992, babe.
I saw that poster.
Yeah.
No, but you know what, Christian? Another thing with the transition with the night to day. When they're so far behind, when they're like, we got to catch up, we're days behind, they actually cut Clove off before he even reaches the castle.
That's true.
They kill Clove, and then doesn't the carriage take off by itself and it gets stuck? And that's how it happens, because Dracula's coffin falls out and slides down onto the ice.
Yeah. It went backwards. It is really kind of weird there, but again, I'm not trying to nitpick because I know there might have been budgetary things here.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It was. I'm not going to use the word perfect, but it was near perfect for me. I just had a blast with it.
Cool. What are you going to rate it?
I give it a 9 out of 10.
Wow.
Oh man, that's awesome. That's awesome.
I loved it. I really got no complaints.
You got to watch all the other ones then now. Sorry, Brandon, forget me. That's awesome to hear.
Yeah, no, it was terrific. It's a great film.
All right, I was 8.5, and I thought I was going to be the highest.
Wow. No shit. Wow, I feel bad, but I still enjoyed the movie. I give it 7.5.
I don't feel bad. That's still good.
Still
I know.
Score.
Yeah, I quite enjoyed it. I will watch it again. And to skin a cat, you must catch it. Good line from this film. It's great. It's a great, everything isn't as easy as you make it seem. To skin a cat, you got to catch it first. I like that. And one more quick thing. I do believe that towards the end of this movie, Diana was not wearing a bra. I don't know if anybody caught on to that, but it was Kind of all too
Can I take my rating back? 9.5.
What are you friggin'? What's his name? BC on friggin' on Horror Mafia. He takes points off of Sopranos episodes if there's not a killer or if there's not TNA.
So, and again, I hate to just jump back, but it is mentioned in Bram Stoker's book that Dracula can't cross running water, and then someone asked why. And then many legends make reference to evil being unable to cross flowing water. And so Bram Stoker's referencing this. And I guess Tolkien also did this in Lord of the Rings and, of course, in Night of the Demons.
Yes. Cool.
Yeah. So
that's cool. I got to respect it, you know?
It's great.
All right. Well.
Fun movie. Thank you again. More Hammer.
Terrific. I'm loving Hammer. I'm with Dave, though, you know, like just early exposure to it, you know, probably only like my 8th Hammer film, but 7 out of 8 so far in terms of the ones I've loved.
You mean 8 out of 5?
Nice. Well, let's get into Shock. We gotta get on. We're on a time limit.
Do it. Our last feature review, Mario Bava's Shock from 1977, but I believe it was released in 79. A couple is terrorized in their new house, haunted by the vengeful ghost of the woman's former husband, who possesses her young child.
I gotta tell you, I avoided this movie for years because of the stupid freaking box cover. Look at this thing.
I own this on a double feature DVD with Christian's favorite movie, Possession.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's in a midnight double feature with Possession, which is weird. Now that I think about it.
So my first thing about this one was, again, I'll try to be brief because I know Dave, you're just about to say something. Is again, just felt like it was something that would have been like a Twilight Zone length or like a Tales from the Dark Side, Tales from the Crypt, like Crypt before Brandon jumps down my throat.
Tales from the Crap.
Tales from the Crapper.
I couldn't even. Yeah.
I had a rough goal last night.
I tried to correct myself, and I still got
Tales from the Crapper is a trauma movie.
There you go. Okay.
Not from Tales of the Crapper, but this felt like it's a short idea made into a feature-length film. Once again, I loved the cinematography of this. This is a little bit more relaxed comparative to Baron Blood and Lisa and the Devil from a cinematography standpoint, but they do make good use of it. There's a lot of good shots within the house itself. Mm-hmm. But once again, Act 1 and 2 kind of feel like the same, more or less, and then I think Act 3 is where everything really is the payoff. You obviously need that setup for the payoff to work. That goes without saying, but I'm just saying that I feel like it drags a little bit in the second part. But then it picks right up again and really delivers in the final act.
Yeah, but all these little like scenes that you're seeing very early on that almost seem meaningless start to make so much sense, you know, in the final act. You know,
true enough.
Just seeing a close up of the giant like sculpted hand, and you know, seeing what's the son's name?
Marco. Don't you remember the beginning when he says, "Marco, that's my name"?
Marco's a creepy little bastard.
It's just ridiculous.
Great casting on that fucking kid.
Yeah, but him in the basement right at the very beginning, and then, of course, like, he comes up and immediately the stepfather, Bruno, locks the basement, and, you know, you got the childlike music playing, and it's just really atmospheric, and, you know, they refer to Marco's father as, you know, Carlos as having committed suicide.
Yep.
By drowning himself in the sea because he was a drug addict.
Well, it was more like and then the payoff is finding out the story of who's protecting who and what's happening there. It's
which is a great reveal.
Yeah, there's a double. It's like a double twist, but the effects again, like that scene where the box cutter comes out alive, it's animated. It's really well done.
Yes, it is.
And this is what 77.
Yeah.
Yeah, 77.
I was like, this is great. Like, it wasn't like, okay, obviously a bit dated, but that was film at the time. You're getting forgiven of it. I was, like, really impressed by that. And there are some great moments. I just wanted, like, I hate saying it because maybe it is a cop-out to say the movie's too slow or whatever it may be. But I just felt like, yeah, you're right. There's a little bit, but they're too similar, Act 1 and 2, is I guess the point I'm making. Even though there's small builds within.
Well, that's what it is. It's a small build kind of revealing Marcus as this creepy perv because you know he's possessed, and you know even though it's you don't really know who he's possessed by, but you know he's possessed.
Well, yeah, there's something not
Well,
right. But
There's something
Kind of obvious.
it's kind of obvious, but he's still like in
When he's
bed
hitting
with
on
his
his mom.
mother, and he's like about to touch her. Then he threatens to kill her at the party, and you're like, even if you're at the point where it's like, okay, he's possessed by his dead father because this is where he died. Why would he be so vengeful?
Because apparently he was an asshole. The guy, remember they were talking about him, saying that he had issues with the needle and this and that. So I'm assuming because he was a drug addict. It's an assumption, but I'm guessing that maybe he was an asshole too. And then they show the scene. Do they wait till later to show when he's actually mean to her?
Yeah, he sticks her with a needle, or that part, or
That too. That's not nice, right? I mean, But yeah, I don't know. I'm just assuming that he mistreated her, and because he was a drug addict. Maybe I'm being presumptuous, because not all
He
drug
can't be
addicts are
all
bad
that
people.
bad though, because he loves to go on a swing. That swing just keeps going back and forth, and that's obviously who else would it be? Like, why does that swing
true.
keep going?
Because
It's creepy
he's on heroin.
and effective. It's great. Like, but I was just like, wow, he really loves that swing. That guy.
Well, yeah. Have you ever shot fucking smack and gone on a swing?
No.
Oh, it's wonderful. Oh man. You
I
gotta
thought
think
those scenes with the swing were cool though. When Bruno's like pushing the swing and he's got the picture of his stepfather on
Yeah.
there, and it kind of lines up with what's going on the plane.
with the plane. Yeah.
Like,
That was
this
crazy.
is fucking creepy,
Yeah.
man.
That was cool.
The mother who was Daria Nicolodi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice to see her.
Yeah, it
Always.
was nice to see her. Yes, and she's like sort of like hypnotized like by the metronome, and the piano starts like laughing, and then later on with the razor blade in between the keys.
The old razor blade
cool.
between the keys routine.
Loved it.
Oh,
Makes you think twice before tickling the ivories.
the creepiest scare, or the most effective. Well, there's a lot of effective ones, but I'll say the best one is where
Go
she
ahead.
comes out of the doorway into the hallway, and she's like, "Mommy, mommy!" and the boy runs up to her, and then and it becomes him, like within the frame, because the beautiful cinematography once again, because the framing of the shot is so simple. You just see her come out, and they do it in one take. So you just see the boy screaming, "Mommy, mommy!" running towards her. But because he's short, he's out of frame, and they time it perfectly that when he runs up, the dad comes in and grabs her, and it's so good.
You know
It's
what's
such a
You know
good,
what's crazy
effective
about
scare.
that? Derek wrote to me. He's like, "What did you think of the big scare at the end?" And I'm like,
Is that the
"What
one he's
big
talking about?"
And I said to him, I said, "What scare?" And he wrote back to me. He's like, "The one where he's running and it turns into the fire." I'm like,
that's hilarious.
Yeah. And I said to him, I said, "It's so funny because I immediately, when I saw that scene, thought of last year with Housewife. They had the
I haven't
exact
seen that
same
one.
scene
That was when you
in
guys-
Housewife, and it was absolutely terrifying in Housewife. Yet in this one, it didn't scare me as much because like I had seen it before, but yet this obviously did it way before. But I was like, that's awesome that this is almost like where that scene originated from.
I think they
It's-
did that in
it's-
Annabelle too, the first Annabelle, for some reason. I remember them, someone running into a room and that happening.
Yeah, it's super effective though.
They've done it to certain degrees in other movies as well, and I think this is what you guys are pointing out to. But yeah, it's the way it was handled here within the
was great.
same. Because what you're doing again, Mike. Where did Mike come from? Again, what you were saying, Dave, Mike,
My brother, Mike.
Dave, with the love of movie making. This is movie magic because they're like, how do we make this work simplistically, and we don't even need effects. And
Awesome.
so it's beautiful. That's just like, that's everybody getting together. It's like, we'll have her come out. We'll have the camera pan around like this. You'll see the boy in the far frame. He'll run up and then boom. The timing was impeccable. I wonder how many times they had to do it, but it just works beautifully.
It was great. The only problem is that I was still laughing from the scene that happened like 10 seconds before when there was a baby John Holmes in the bed. Did you see that part? Remember
There's a baby with a big dick?
No. No, dude. He pulled back the covers, and it was a little kid with this face and a mustache, and it looked like John Holmes. Look at the baby John Holmes in the bed. I was cracking up. Oh, shit.
Well, the nightmarish imagery in here works great. It works great, and but it's so funny how it is such a slow build to just go totally balls out in the last 15 minutes.
It's
weird.
my kind of film.
This is one of the first ones I watched, and I'm having a tough time remembering. I'm looking at my notes, and I'm like, wait, what does that mean? I remember I wrote it down here. Some of the piano. There was one scene in particular where the piano music was playing, where it reminded me of the theme from Nightmare on Elm Street. Like
Wow.
I gotta go back and listen to it because
Is that where she walks up to it and there's nobody there playing the piano? Where she thinks it's her, thinks it's Margot?
When it's the record. It's the record playing.
I'm not sure.
How about that? So it comes full circle. You said Nightmare on Elm Street, Christian. You said Nightmare on Elm Street, B. Now I'm going to make a Nightmare on Elm Street comparison. There's a scene in this that they took and they used it in Nightmare on Elm Street. The girl was asleep, dreaming about the razor cutter coming after her, right? And then she wakes up and her husband's there, and she actually has a cut in her freaking nightgown. And I'm thinking, I wonder if the guy's going to say, you better cut your nails. You got to stop that kind of dreaming. The other, same exact shit, dude. She had a rip in her freaking thing from the dream. It's like, wow.
Well,
man.
we kind of go into repulsion territory here too. It seems, right? It just seems to be, like a breaking of the mind.
Yeah, and you learned that she was in a sanatorium and had electroshock and stuff like that, and it slowly unfolds. And then you have the funniest scene in the movie with the rat.
Oh my God!
The Usain Bolt of rats.
That Bolt, that rat wanted to go home.
That Bolt. You see how fast he ran?
He did. It was like crazy. I'm like, are you serious? And she was like, and they're screaming. I had to put the volume down because there's a lot of screaming at the end of this movie.
Yeah.
Like full out screaming. And I'm like, what the fuck are they doing? Like there was no need for that part, but it was very effective as well.
It was very
just to have the
effective.
rat fly out of that hole to try to get into another one.
You know what that hole was? I'm pretty sure that was Pipe's glory hole.
There's a link. There's a link to all these movies.
God damn it, he had a hamster in his glory hole.
How about the one kill we got was great when they showed that.
Well, I don't want to give too much away, but like
the original kill, the reveal. Yes, when we see what happens and we see the slit. That
was right out of a Friday the 13th movie.
Yeah,
it's great.
Oh, wow. I'm talking about like with the pickaxe.
I'm not talking about the pickaxe. I'm talking about the original kill with the reveal with the slit and the blood all over the place.
Yeah.
But not to take away from the pickaxe, that was great too. So pardon me, there were two kills, right? They were both done very well.
Yeah, the pickaxe was great. Not only that, they made it still look good as she got rid of the body. And I'm sorry because I am spoiling a bit, but fuck, this is from 1977 and whatever. But well, I'm spoiling, but not really. I mean, there's a lot more to it than
we've been spoiling every movie though. These are older movies.
It's what we do.
But this is a reveal. This is more of a reveal that we don't want to give away, and we're not. We're dancing around. We're not actually saying this is what happened. I don't think we have to. I don't think it makes a difference, but I think it's cool. I think. How about the Amityville connections? There's two things in this movie that happen in Amityville Horror, although they did it better here. They have bleeding from the walls, although these walls happen to be brick, and then they were smashing the freaking brick wall in the basement, just like they did in Amityville Horror.
Leave it to David. Always find little comparisons there. That's awesome. I didn't even think of it.
Yeah. How about they said sanatorium? B said sanatorium.
Sanitarium.
Right. That was my question. Sometimes they call it a sanatorium. Sometimes they call it a sanitarium. Is it the same thing?
You know something? I think it is the same. And as I was saying it, and I said sanatorium,
I was going to make fun of you.
And I was gonna say I think I just had a stroke because I never say it like that.
Well, I was just about to go. I was like, no, I haven't. I
have.
No, I always hear sanitarium.
I've heard both, and they said sanatorium.
Especially in Metallica.
Yeah, sanatorium.
Nice. B singing this episode. Nice.
Yes.
How'd you like that, Marco?
Sorry, Marco. I know.
Marco, that's my name.
Oh my God! Look at that.
That's why we got to get a soundboard. I want a sample of that kid, right? So anytime we bring up Marco, we can press the button. Marco, that's my name.
You would think this shit was scripted. How this fucking I say that like how this gold just comes together.
Oh man.
Good scares. This was unsettling, but admittedly, and I told B this before, and I not because the movie. I did not like the movie, but it took me 3 watches to get through it because I kept putting it on late. Huh? Yeah, and I just kept dozing off 20 minutes in. 20 minutes in, and it was just because I put it on. I'm like, what the fuck's wrong with me? So then I just said, put it on first thing in the morning, and I watched it.
Wow, I watched it this morning too, and I'll tell you what, this one held my attention more than any other movie, beginning to end. I think this is more my type of movie. If I'm into the characters, I like a more intimate setting, and if it's moving slow, it doesn't seem slow when I'm into the plot. And for whatever reason, I don't know. I like the supernatural stuff like this, and
I liked it, and I love the way they justify the fact that they came back to this house in the first place and why it took so long. It's really very smart in that sense.
Yes.
And it's like, they don't normally do that. Usually, when they return to a haunted house, it's like, why are you there? But it totally makes sense.
And they begged his dad to come back to direct the one last film, right? He kind of sort of shunned the industry, and then what was it, Lamberto, sorry, his son, correct? Asked him to come back to do this one last movie. And I don't know if it's supposed to be his one last movie, but he just had a heart attack afterwards, couple years later or something.
He died like 2 years later, 3 years.
Did
later.
he die young? Was he?
How old
It was
was
1980, but I don't know how old he was. 62? 62, I think it was, or 60?
He was 65 when he died.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's young.
It's pretty young, yeah.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Lamberto had a great career though too. I mean, Lamberto's done some amazing films. Yeah, Blade in the Dark. He's done some really great stuff.
Definitely. How about the ice cream truck music that they kept playing? Didn't it remind you of like an ice cream truck?
Yeah.
Totally.
That's the one thing. Like, it's almost like he uses soundtracks that are in complete contrast to what's happening, except for when the scary shit happens. But like from like the opening credits and the end credits, it always just seems to go into this different type of music.
But it works.
Yeah, it works. It does work.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you were talking about that with what was it? You were talking about that with Lisa and the Devil.
Yes. Yeah, that real happy music.
Yeah, but it fits.
Yes, it does.
Because it starts off happy. It's like, hey, I'm happy.
And there's one nice shot I wanted to bring up. It's done really well. It's when when Marco is looking outside the window at the swing, and you see the swing and you see the reflection of him. Yeah. Real nice shot. No?
Oh, great shot. Great shot. Like again,
Marco.
like composition is major. It's just awesome. It's just fantastic. Like a broken record now.
I already want to watch this movie again because I'm like, it's been I crammed these in, but this was one of the first ones I watched. And whenever I watch especially prepping for a show, watch like 5 movies in such a short period of time, taking notes. Usually like the first 1 or 2 kind of like fades a little, even though I really liked it.
Well, I'm starting to think, although I said that Shock was probably my most fun from an entertainment standpoint, but this probably is the best out of the 3. And I know that will be argumentative because I think a lot of people hold Lisa and the Devil in a very high regard. But for me, for these 3, I would say that this one was the best movie. I'd say I had the most fun watching Baron Blood because it was just a little bit more check your brain at the door style. But this is probably the best movie.
Yeah.
I'm down with it all around. It held my attention the entire time, and it was my favorite movie, straight up. So I'll tell you, I gave it a 7.25. That's what I give it.
It's still lowish compared to what I thought you were going to come in at.
Yeah. Me too. Because I came in higher than that.
I was an 8. I tied it with Baron Blood.
Wow.
That's what I am. You know how I am though with movies that have reels dealing with mental illness. I don't know why I just love mental illness as a theme of films. Maybe because I'm mental, but 8 out of 10 for me. Yeah,
nice.
And that was right on par. Baron Blood, even though I really enjoyed it, was my least favorite of the 3.
It's funny, and again, it would be based on the fact of the type of movies you like. That wouldn't have actually surprised me. So
but it wasn't just because it was straightforward. It was for the reasons that I said when we reviewed it. Almost like too simplistic and kind of like silly in a few areas where it should have been a little bit more developed.
Totally understand, but again, Derek, thank you again because. There's a couple of things that we say on these shows. We've done tons of slashers. When we did Hammer movies last year, we said we wanted to see more Hammer. And so I know you didn't give us the Hammer movies, but we got a Hammer movie this episode. And then I also said when we did the Giallo film that I ended up branching out and I watched we watched Bay of Blood, I think. But then I also watched like Blood and Blacklist. I said I want to watch more Mario Bava films. And so thank you, Derek, because this just gave me 3 more to that were all first time watches for me.
Me too.
Yeah, and even to Rob H. Thanks for Ghostwatch.
And if you're the Rob that switched your Patreon,
Yeah.
I can say, man.
Yeah, thanks all you guys. Yes. I'll tell you what, I have the announcement for next show. This is what they are. For Del Toro, from the Ram Man, we are going to be watching Pan's Labyrinth, Hellboy, and Crimson Peak.
I'm sorry, can you repeat those one more time?
Yep. Pan's Labyrinth,
Yeah. Yes.
Hellboy, and Crimson Peak.
Yes. What? That's my number one of 2015.
I know.
I know. And also,
Wasn't Goosebumps your number 2?
Oh, fuck.
Clown House, and Just Before Dawn are the triple R's. So that's what we're doing next show. We'll see you then. Thank you, everybody. Thank you to the patrons. Thank you to the listeners. We're going to have some giveaways coming up soon, but we'll talk about that next show. And next show,
4K TV. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
We're going 8K.
Nice. Next show, we might have a surprise as well. But we'll see when we get there. That's show 81. This is show 80. And we got to get out of here.
But I do want to say thank you again to this guy, Brandon.
Yeah.
Welcome back, B.
No, thank you to you guys and everybody for being super supportive the last month or 6 weeks, however long it's been. But things are looking up, and I'm glad to be back. This was a blast, and we'll see you guys in episode 81. On episode 81.
Until then,
either way.
keep the aisle seats free. I am the apocalypse.
And to skin a cat, you must catch it first.
And never give anyone a Nicky 9.
Unless it's in the glory hole.
Unless it's in Pipes' glory hole.
Exploding heads, we're out.